Welcome back to beautiful Sheboygan, Wisconsin. It's the Mercury Racing Midwest Challenge Day number 2. Mike Iwaski, Matt Trulio, and Thomas Yarbrough from the F1 National Powerboat Championship. Matt, Thomas, my wife teased me yesterday. She said, might have to buy a sweatshirt this weekend in these conditions today, considerably different than what we had yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. We had that wind dead out of the west, really laying the big, gnarly Lake Michigan down nice and flat here on the western shores. And now we've got that coming out of the northeast. If you look just off the northeast side of our course at seawall, we're seeing nice waves break right over the seawall and wash onto the course, even protected by the harbor. The Formula One's going to be a different race today, and I think everybody else outside the 93 of RJ West is really happy that wind shifted because he put on a dominant performance in the first 2 of 3 qualifying heats. Let's
talk about this beautiful town of Sheboygan, Wisconsin, though. What a great place this has been to come race. I love going to towns, new towns, for the first time. It's always exhilarating to do, but this town has been so welcoming, so nice. The block party on Friday night was simply off the hook, Matt.
I have never seen anything like this town. Sheboygan opened its arms to offshore powerboat racing in a way that I've never seen a town quite do it. I mean, just the passion, the friendliness of the people. I've been thanked for being here.
Oh, yeah,
which is
100%.
Not something I expect, but something I appreciate.
I FaceTime with my wife this morning in front of the Bay Harbor Resort over here, and she was like, oh my God, it's beautiful. I couldn't believe how nice it is. So we look forward to coming back. Thank you to Mercury Racing and the town of Sheboygan for putting this on, the mayor, the Public Works Department, everybody. Bay Harbor Resort, of course, for hosting us out here on their beautiful lawn. Thank you so much. But what a great day for racing. All right, Thomas, what are we doing today with your F1 boats?
So we've got our third of 3 qualifying heats. This will set our starting grid for our main event. So we're doing our final 6 minutes plus 1 lap qualifying heat. We're going to do reverse order of points accumulated. So the man who went out and dominated yesterday, the boat we're seeing there overhead, that's the man out of Manteca, California, running for Composite Craft, and Chuck Skelton racing the 93 of RJ West. He is the force to beat this weekend, but he's got to come from last off the start pontoon all the way through the field, but he did it yesterday in Heat 2. Can anybody stop this hard-charging young man out of California?
So tell me something, Thomas. How was he so dominant yesterday? How was he so far ahead of everybody? Both heats.
So the first person to take possession of an APX motor here in the United States was none other than RJ West. He lives in Manteca, California. He tests all year. He's a meticulous individual, and he's done this with the Optimax, and now he's doing it again with the APX 200.
Let's take a look back at yesterday. Lots of racing action here in Sheboygan. We started off with the F1 boats and qualifying for the first time.
As you see, what a great view there. Yeah, the qualifying yesterday. As we see the street party from before, great folks at Monster Energy, part of P1, and great sponsors here at the 2023 Mercury Racing Midwest Challenge. What a great day of racing we had all day yesterday. The F1 boats, kind of were the morning show yesterday. Now we're bookends today. We start today, we finish today here in the F1 boats, jamming in the middle there. We've got the factory stock, the Class 1, and the Super Stock class. So what a great day of racing we're going to have here on the shores of Lake Michigan.
Beautiful day here. Sun's starting to come out a little bit just behind us. It'll get a little bit warmer. There's your winner, though. Doug Wright's Waves and Wheels. They won in 450 factory stock, and then we went on to F1 and watched these boats run for the first time.
Yeah, and you saw there just a quick flash of that 2-seater. It's a side-by-side 2-seater. We call it the Formula One race ride experience. Multi-time world champion and series CEO Tim Siebold behind the wheel in the cockpit of that 2-seater. What a great run. Look at there, the 93 RJ West. He was airing it out. He had it flying high, wide, and dancing yesterday here in the harbor that connects the Sheboygan River to the Great Lake Michigan.
Jackhammer took the early lead and Superstock and went on to win that race, no questions asked. But Matt, how about Class 1? First time on the podium, Monster Energy MCOT.
Just incredible. Those guys have worked so hard to get that brand new skater race boat ready. They've battled a heck of a lot of adversity, not on the race course, in the build. Everything was time crunch. And understandably, they struggled a little bit in the beginning, but to get second place yesterday, and also I just have to hand it off to X Insurance too. Those two guys getting third.
And nothing to take away from 222 Offshore Australia Navy. They simply dominated Class 1 and went out and raced. And how about Meade Family Racing in 450 factory stock?
And that's just a feel-good story when a 16-year-old Caleb Meade comes out here and gets second place in offshore racing's most competitive class, even if he is alongside Sean Torrente, who's obviously highly skilled, used to winning, focused. It's still amazing.
All right, looks like we've got them lined up here. Our final couple of boats lining up on the start pontoon. Again, for those of you normally used to watching offshore racing with the great folks at P1, we do things a little bit differently here on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. We run a modified Le Mans start. So we will start at 1 minute. You will hear me count down in 10-second increments till we get to 20 seconds. I will then turn that over to my starter, Doug Ray, and he will start the race by raising a giant flag directly across from the start pontoon. When that flag moves, you're going to hear these 200 APX V6 Mercury competition outboards come roaring to life. You're going to see them hitting top speeds in excess of 115 miles an hour inside of 3 to 3.5 seconds.
Matt, let's talk about your old Powerboat magazine days. As we brought up briefly yesterday, I remember being a kid and reading about the old tunnel boats with the 2.5 EFI Mercuries on the back of them and the guys holding them with the hooks on the start dock, and they used to start up. And remember the rooster tails they used to shoot over the pier? The guys used to literally, it's like starting motocross, they would duck down so they wouldn't get hosed with the spray.
If the holders didn't duck, they were going to get just absolutely drenched.
Oh yeah.
And the best part of that is when we have some of our mobile docks that we use that are a little bit more wobbly than the standard.
A floating dock, basically.
You would literally watch them take away from the dock, and you'd inevitably one or two people would lose their balance and boom, they'd go right off the dock, right in the water, and have the crew grab them out. So yeah, a lot of the guys who've been around a long time have learned the duck and cover technique to keep them dry for the rest of the day.
How did we come up with this starting grid today? Because we see boat number 9, the Chartreuse green and black boat, now going to start on the pole position. How did we come up with starting positions for today?
Again, like I say, we call it flipping the script, right? First goes to worst goes to first. With 2 wins yesterday in the first 2 qualifying heats, and he's amassed the most points possible so far. So our winner from yesterday is all the way last on the start pontoon. The man who had the least amount of points through the first 2 heats is the 99 of Travis Yates in that JH Performance machine, Chartreuse and black, composite craft. So he gets to start on the pole position. This forces the top drivers not only to be able to get out in front early from the pole and run on clean water, but it forces them to showcase their skills driving through the field.
And get through. They got to get through traffic. Everybody. Oh,
here we go. 1 minute, drivers. 1 minute on the pole. The 99 of Travis Yates. Will he be able to get a good start off dock here as we leave the Sheboygan River out in the harbor here on Lake Michigan? 50 seconds, drivers, 50 seconds. Or will it be the number 12 of Spencer Love, the young man out of Santa Rosa Valley, California, with a new APX on the back? Or could it be the 17 of Dylan Anderson starting third? 40 seconds, drivers, 40 seconds. Or could it be the young driver, the number 8 of Grant Schubert out of Richmond, Texas? Brand new APX on the back. Will that Moligard come screaming off the dock? 30 seconds, drivers, 30 seconds. Or could it be the man from Oshkosh, Wisconsin, the local from just about 45 minutes away, the 85 of Mike Makis? Or could it be the 92 of Dean Comer, the 93 of RJ West, or that 190 of Dustin Terry? Let's find out who's going to take Heat 3 and set our starting grid. 20 seconds, drivers, you're under starters' orders. He drops the flag, and these APX 200 Formula 1s come roaring off the beach. Much better jump there by the 99 of Travis Yates. But look at, here comes wide to the outside of the 93 of RJ West and the 190 of Dustin Terry as they head east towards the Great Lake, Michigan. Down into turn number 1. Who's going to get the whole shot as they come out of turn number 1?
It's going to be number 99.
Hey, 99 of Travis Yates gets out there. It's going to be real rough with those rollers coming in off the northeasterly wind here.
Look at boat number 17, Anderson Marine. They are currently in second. Thomas, that's my boat.
Yeah, the 17 of Anderson Marine, the Dylan Anderson. I call him Mike Honshu. He's got the most beautiful Fu Manchu you've ever seen. He's running hard in second, and he's going wide to the outside now, trying to get around the 99
He's going to carry a little more speed.
Yates. And you see, they really like to sweep these turns. If you remember the old V8 days back when Betty Robertson used to dominate, they had to sweep those turns much like these APX have to here in 2023.
Also, boat number 8 running up in the middle, running good again today as well.
As they go down to the east end of the course there through turn number 1, the 99 of Travis Yates on the outside, holding in front. Now we go side by side for second and third. On the inside, it's the 17 of Dylan Anderson.
We do have a course boat down off on the outside of the course. Boat number 92
looks like that's the Mr. Bowie sponsor, 92 of Dean Comer, teammate of RJ West. Looks like that motor might have gone into guardian mode.
Look at this battle for a second. Look at it. Anderson's going to be on the inside.
That's going to make it tough. The 8 of Grant Schubert sweeps it wide to the outside. Now they go 3 wide. Deck to deck down the front straightaway as they all try to chase down the man out of Richmond, Texas, the number 99 of Travis Yates. The 93 of RJ West on the inside. The 17 of Dylan Anderson sandwiched in the middle. That's going to make it really tough for that 17 Anderson Marine machine. You never want to be sandwiched between 2 other boats, do you, Matt?
I don't really think so. Not in these type of conditions, not the way that they turn. But look at now the battle for second. It looks like boat number 93. Thomas just took over second, but number 8 back to the outside.
Yeah, 8 goes wide to the outside. Now they go side by side. You see there 8 of Grant Schubert in lane 6. The 93 of RJ West. Now he's going to sneak down to the inside.
What a run.
Will the 99 of Travis Yates let him in? He leaves a hole,
Needs some
and the 93
acceleration.
of RJ West gets it out of lane 1, and boy, what a pro he is with that APX on the back. The 93 of RJ West coming from last off the start pontoon. We got a new leader here in the third and final qualifying heat in Formula One.
Thomas, I think this is the best heat we've seen since you guys got here. This is just awesome racing, top 4 or 5 boats. You can throw a blanket over them.
Absolutely. I expected that today with the wind shifting out of the northeast. There's a 99 of Travis Yates now trying to hang on to second. Here comes that 190, the Black Beauty, the man out of Houma, Louisiana, the 190 of Dustin Terry now. He's sneaking up into that conversation for third as they go 3 wide, trying to fight for second place.
Matt, where did that black and yellow boat even come from? I hadn't been seeing him all day. Now he's all up there in the mix.
Unbelievable. He came out of nowhere.
Completely out of nowhere.
And it looks like the 8 of Grant Schubert really liking that lane 6 way wide to the outside, trying to keep those RPMs maxed out in the turns. But boy, he might be too far out there, really giving up a lot of inside lane, having to go way further around the course than the number 190 of Dustin Terry. But they go into out of turn 1 now, coming down the straightaway that faces Lake Michigan. Oh boy, he cuts it real tight. The 190 Dustin Terry hammers a big wave coming tight out of turn number 2. He's airing it out, flying it high, wide, and dancing as he comes down the backstretch. Into turn number 2, the 8 of Grant Schubert still holding off the 190 Dustin Terry. But I don't know if anybody has any type of recourse for the 93 of RJ West. That man is on a completely different level here this weekend.
Thomas, what changed about boat number 8? They kind of seemed to struggle all day yesterday. Didn't get good starts, kind of ran mid-pack, but now they're up front running second. And, I mean, really, we're challenging for first for part of the race.
Yeah, it's seat time.
Seat time,
right?
Okay.
Yeah, you just get used to the water, getting used to the more laps he puts in, the more comfortable that young driver. He's only 19 years old. And so the more time he puts behind the wheel of that APX, the more comfortable he's going to be. He's one of our top drivers with his normal 2.5 on the back on the Formula One Powerboat Championship Series. You just got to give him some time, and he's pushing hard. But boy, what a great run he has against the 190 Dustin Terry. They are absolutely battling out there here on the shores of Lake Michigan.
Matt, is it just me, or does it look like these boats are running completely different in these conditions today with this wind direction change? These boats are running they seem to be running a lot better to me.
Seems like they're running more flat, less flared out, especially on the past turn 2. They're not walking on tail.
Yeah, they're not walking around as much. They're not dancing around as much.
Yeah, they really, our boats do like the chop. We don't necessarily like swells, but we do like chop. It breaks that tunnel loose and really allows the back end to lift up on the water, creates a nice flat attitude, which stops these guys from having to trim it in case of a blowover.
Number 8 looks like they're running a wider course compared to number 190. Maybe a little bit of defense there?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, what he's trying to do is he knows that if he forces the 190 Dustin Terry, as we watch him coming into turn 2, Terry, look at how much he catches him. He's really got that straightaway speed figured out, but now he
can't look in there.
Right.
Well, he looks in there, but look how much speed he lost. But, wow, that actually worked out better than I thought it would for him. I thought he'd have to scrub off more speed and take a little bit longer to accelerate, but now he's going to be almost had overtake there.
Yeah, he's right on his hip, but I think that's designed by the 8 of Grant Schubert in that short shoot, and he stays wide to the outside. The question is, will the 190 be able to creep up and stuff it down into the corner?
That's going to take a commitment.
He leaves him inside, but he finally got it. What a great turn there was by the 190 Dustin Terry. He didn't allow that APX to bog in the corner. He turned it just tight enough to sneak down the inside, and he moves himself up into second place, getting by the number 8 of Grant Schubert.
And Thomas, that's what you talked about yesterday with the trust. There was obviously a lot of trust between the number 190 and number 8 boat as they went into that corner to not come too close together, make contact, and have an issue.
Absolutely. As we catch the 190 Dustin Terry, now he starts to pull away from the 8 of Grant Schubert. Now he's got the arduous task of tracking down the 93 of RJ West, and that's going to be tough here in this 6 minutes plus 1 lap. As you see, we got 21 seconds plus 1 lap remaining, and look at that lead that has been amassed by the 93 of RJ West, 3.63 seconds over the rest of the field.
He's gone. He's just gone from the fleet. We've got this one boat limping around, number 92. He has been some kind of a mechanical issue. Is he just trying to get laps in, Thomas?
Correct. He's just looking to catch points. I would imagine that motor's gone into Guardian mode, and they're going to have to bring that thing back to the trailer and figure out why it tripped it off. So it's only allowing it to run at a very minimal RPM, right? Basically, the manufacturer's saying, hey, we don't want to screw up your boat, but we'll allow you to putt back into the trailer.
Right.
There's the 190 of Dustin Terry. He sweeps it off at turn number 2 now. He's starting to close the gap a little bit over the 93 of RJ West. Pushing on. Oh, look out there. RJ West puts it way on its tail coming out of turn number 2. He sees that Black Beauty in the rear view, and he's laying it down.
White flag.
White flag is out. Go fast. Turn left just 3 more times. Can RJ put a stone cold lock on pole position for our main event to finish up the 2023 Mercury Midwest Challenge? Look out there, RJ. The rollers and waves are getting real rough there at the east end of the course. He's pushing hard down through turn number 2.
Easy, Thomas. They're not finishing yet. Got one more race today.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm used to this. I get excited because I love it just as much as everybody else. The 93 of RJ West, walking it down the front stretch. Comes down in to turn number 2, sets it off at turn number 2. Beautiful turn, goes wide to the outside, and ladies and gentlemen, with a clean sweep in qualifying here at the 2023 Mercury Racing Midwest Challenge, your winner here at heat number 3, number 93, RJ West. Coming in second, the 190 Ameristar Roofing of Dustin Terry, and rounding out the top 3 here in qualifying heat number 3, running for JH Performance Boats and Hertz Audio, the number 8 of Grant Schubert.
As we wrap up our first F1 race of the day, we are going to bring the offshore powerboats out next. Superstock will start off. 450 factory stock will go second, and then Class 1 will wrap up the day, and then we will do one more F1 finale right after that.
Absolutely, yeah. We do 18 minutes plus 1 lap in there, so the back markers are going to be a much bigger part of the equation. And so about halfway through that race, you're really going to see things start to wad up, even if the 93 of RJ West starts to pull away in the first third of the race.
And you might pass out and turn red in the face because you'll be not breathing.
I'm good.
Explain this to me. What is the and one lap? Why is that in place? Why does that happen with Formula 1 tunnel racing?
So we use the timing system instead of laps because of the deck-to-deck racing and the amount of carnage, right, that is very real and a part of what we do. We use timing instead of laps. That way, if we have amassed so much time in the race, we have the ability to call the race at a certain point and continue our program on. So we do it because we operate in commercial rivers and lakes where we only have a set amount of time, because we have, unlike you guys, we have to close these rivers and lakes down when we race. And so timing plus 1 lap allows us to be fluid with our program throughout any given race day.
Great explanation. I got it now.
Motocross and Supercross do the same thing. Motocross runs 30 minutes plus 2 laps in the outdoors, and Supercross went to a program of 26 minutes plus 1 lap in Supercross instead of counting laps. So it just makes the racing a little bit more efficient for teams a little bit better to understand. Let's take a commercial break. We just wrapped up our first F1 race. Superstock will be up next. We'll be back right after this.
If you own a home or business, it might surprise you to see what is not covered in your insurance policy. There are gaps and exclusions in primary and umbrella policies that make you a target if an incident or claim occurs and you don't have the right coverage in place. And that's why you need a true umbrella policy from X Insurance. There are 40 million lawsuits filed every year in the USA. Let's get that target off your back.
Welcome back to beautiful Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Gemma is down in the pits with an interview. Gemma, who you got? We apologize, having some technical difficulties with our interview right now, so that's not going to be happening. There are our super stock. There is your winner from yesterday, S01 Jackhammer, getting ready to go racing.
Hopefully we'll get Gemma down there to have a chance to chat with the 93 of RJ West after his dominant performance here in qualifying. You can definitely tell the 93 of RJ West was the class of the field in Formula 1, that's for sure.
Yeah, ran super good. He's dominated, all 3 days and came from the very back of the pack and had to work his way through some really tight racing in that particular heat.
Yeah, unlike yesterday where he got such a good start over everybody else. And I actually, the reason I found out was a couple of drivers with the glare, we ended up having to put our flag starter up high because of the glare. Oh, looks like we're going to turn it over to Gemma down in the pits, have a chance to chat with the folks at Jackhammer. Well, looks like they're not quite ready yet.
think we're still having some difficulties. Not 100% sure what's going on. Waiting to hear back from production. But a great day here in Sheboygan. Kind of gives you a good overall view of what our wet pits look like. You did see your F1 boats just to the right of your screen there. They were getting back up on the trailer to get out. Hopefully go back, make some adjustments and changes needed as these super stock boats get ready to race. Matt, the crowds are rolling in just like they did yesterday. Like you said, a huge welcome from the town here in Sheboygan as they make their way from the Sheboygan River now over to Lake Michigan for offshore powerboat racing to start off with super stock.
And it looks like most of them were smart enough to dress for the weather, unlike us. Wow, there's more sweatshirts today, there's hoodies, there's windbreakers. I don't think it's going to be cold all day, and you don't want to hear me talk about the weather all day, but it's a change, and the most noteworthy change is the wind direction. That's going to change a lot. It's bumpy out there.
What's it going to do to your guys' course?
Well, Matt and I talked about it this morning when I got here, and I was with you out on the mole. It was really bumpy when I was out earlier, but it has laid down considerably. The groundswell that was between, let's say, 2 and 1 is not nearly as bad as what it was, and the breaking waters out on the wall, it's not nearly as high as it was when we came out here first thing this morning. So the wind is laying down a bit, but I do think towards pin number 4 as we go out around the corner, it's going to be a little bit rougher. But there is a beautiful aerial view of the Blue Harbor Resort. Nice enough to host us on their front lawn here. Those are our VIP tents. Emily, Noelle, and Evan doing a great job over there. Your Mercury Racing tent. There's our stage. We'll be doing the awards there later this evening. If you're not doing anything, come on by and congratulate our winners from today here, the Mercury Racing Midwest Challenge. We are on that blue scaffolding right there under that red tent as the drone flies overhead. Beautiful day here. Sun's starting to come back out just a little bit, and the crowds start to move over to where they're going to be able to watch our first race, Super Stock, coming up live. Should be about 11:30, but what a day here so far.
Yeah, let's talk about that super stock. Obviously, Jackhammer came out, put a dominant performance together. I don't know what the draw looked like this morning. I don't know if you guys were privy to how the draw shaped up for this morning's race, but is that a big thing, or do you expect a Jackhammer to be one of those boats in the mix for that top spot here again on Sunday?
Well, you know, I can honestly tell you that if it bumps up and it stays a little bit rough, Billy Allen, I think, is going to be really excited because he is known to be a rough water boat. His boat is a little bit heavier, it runs better in rough water, and if it's bumpy out there, I definitely look for Billy Allen. Jackhammer's proven to be good in rough water too, though. I wouldn't count them out. And then, of course, Coco's Monkey. They came in second yesterday. What a great run by that team.
Yeah, Coco's Monkey, for me, I don't have as much experience with them as with the other teams. They haven't been in as long, but they were the father and son Vigino team were absolutely fantastic yesterday. They were in it from the beginning. They never let up. I also think Allied Construction Management Systems, the Sean Tarenti boat with Sean Connor. Actually, it's Sean Connor's boat, but Sean Tarenti's the throttleman, and I do believe they are going to have a good run today. Don't ask me why. Maybe I bumped into Sean last night. He seemed like he would like to do better. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, I had a chance to chat with him yesterday. You know, they really didn't identify anything particular in their program from yesterday that caused them to struggle as much. It's just, hey, we couldn't get around. We couldn't find the spots, and a lot of times it's timing, right? If you run into a guy in the corner every time, it must be tough.
There's the number S33 Savage with Randy Swears and Mark Granite. That Doug Wright looking for a better performance today, Matt.
It's wonderful to have Mr. Granite back in a cockpit and out of the broadcast booth.
I think he enjoys being in the cockpit, though. And him and Randy Swears go way back. They're very good friends. They've ran Super Stock before together, so they're a good duo to put back together. So we expect something good to come out of Savage today.
Well, and of course, Mark knows I'm teasing. He's going to be joining us in St. Petersburg for the final race of the Class 1 Series. However, he is a driver, and he would do anything to be in a race boat. He loves racing. Randy Swears, very experienced veteran driver. I think Team Savage has something to prove today.
I think so, and we look forward to whatever they can do. But it was Jackhammer, your winner day yesterday. Coco Monkeys coming in second place, as we mentioned, the father-son team based out of New York.
And then that North Wing team coming in third, a great run for them as well, as they really started to pull away. Those top three boats kind of separated themselves from the rest of the field.
And let's see if we can get Performance Boat Center Fast Diesel Fuel Systems, Rusty Williams and Myra Coyle to run just a little bit better today. As I mentioned, all season long, Matt, they've kind of been late chargers, right? They haven't gotten the best of starts. They've been a little bit further back in the pack, and they start to move their way through the field. They're also a pretty good rough water team, though. They can get a good rough water setup figured out in that right performance racing boat and be able to run in these rougher conditions.
They are a good rough water team, and if I wouldn't be surprised if they finish even first or second. You know, they're phenomenally talented, they're experienced, and they're good against this field. They know what they're doing.
There is Steel Industries. That is Dominic Steele, and that's Julian Molinado.
With Dominic, yes.
Yes, with Dominic. Okay. There's 3 Maldonados in the field. So
it gets confusing.
Yeah, it gets a little confusing. There is the Performance Boat Center Fast Diesel Fuel System teams. There's Allen Lawn Care Landscaping. They are your rough water favorites. Guys, as we look at these super stock boats, we did it with Class 1. I think who was right yesterday? Matt was right.
Absolutely, 222
Right?
offshore.
You went
I was the bottom
qualifier.
of the barrel.
Yep.
Fair enough. The new guy probably should end up at the bottom of the barrel, knowing as little as I do.
No. If you went based on factual information that you had in front of you yesterday,
you made a pick.
I think all of our picks were based on facts, but you went on proven evidence from yesterday, and I think we should do it again for Superstock. But let's take a quick commercial break. We will bring you live coverage of the Mercury Racing Midwest Challenge from Sheboygan, Wisconsin, right after this.
If you own a home or business, it might surprise you to see what is not covered in your insurance policy. There are gaps and exclusions in primary and umbrella policies that make you a target if an incident or claim occurs and you don't have the right coverage in place. And that's why you need a true umbrella policy from X Insurance. There are 40 million lawsuits filed every year in the USA. Let's get that target off your back.
Number 1, Eli Tolman.
And Eli Tomac does it! Wins the Daytona Supercross for the 7th time!
Welcome back to beautiful Sheboygan, Wisconsin, the Mercury Racing Midwest Challenge. We are waiting to get Superstock underway. Should be right around 11:30. We're waiting for confirmation from race control. While we anticipate this Superstock race and this start, let's take a look back, at our Superstock race in Sarasota, Florida.
Welcome to Sarasota, where the 2023 P1 Offshore Championship saw 2 days of world-class marine motorsport action at the 39th Annual Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix on Florida's Gulf Coast. Over 90 competitors locked horns off Lido Beach in various classes, including the Class 1 Offshore Powerboat, Supercat, and Superstock races. This show will cover the highly competitive Superstock race, running twin 300 horsepower Mercury engines and the larger factory stock 450R class boats, running two 450 horsepower Mercury engines. Sarasota County provides the quintessential white sand beach getaway, a nature lover's playground at the doorstep of the Gulf of Mexico. It's a sophisticated city with a vibrant social and artistic scene. There are exceptional dining options and an exciting nightlife that makes this an idyllic place to visit year-round. The weekend kicked off with a pit party as fans got a chance to see the juggernauts up close and also meet some of the drivers. And a sunset concert kicked off the race weekend. Now let's see what happened in the factory stock 450R class. There were 5 boats entering the factory stock 450R class. At the top of the standings after 2 rounds was number 7, the TS Motorsports Marine Technology boat. with Taylor Sissom back in the driver's seat after missing the last round. She drives alongside legendary throttleman Johnny Tomlinson. Tomlinson also throttles the Class 1 Pothole Heroes boat with Travis Pastrana.
Yeah, I would say the biggest challenge here is weather, at least for this weekend, because as you could tell yesterday, it was glass flat and then it went to pretty bumpy in the afternoon. So we're excited to get out there, hoping it kicks up a little bit like yesterday. It's kind of good water for us.
Coming into Sarasota on a high was the 227 Gladiator Canados boat, with veteran throttleman Italian Michele Carcente and driver Urban Grant in their Doug Wright boat. They won the previous round after the number 7 Marine Tech boat broke down on the last lap and they swept to victory, now just 1 point behind in the championship standings.
Well, you see, it's a new boat, we're still setting it up. Now we have the new tunnel tab, we did not test, so we hope to test tomorrow, and we hope we're going to gain some acceleration.
The two young guns, driver Ian Morgan and throttleman Nick Impressure, were third in the series in their MTI-built 151 Express boat. Ricky Maldonado was back on the throttle after missing the previous round alongside Logan Aiden in the driver's seat.
Well, I got suspended from a situation that happened in marathon at race number 1, which we, in my opinion, we totally dominated. And we're back here in Sarasota, ready to race really hard, really hard. I'm talking about harder than I've ever raced before. We've been running this boat about 80%, and now we're ready to go 100% on it.
And the number 39 Hanks Saloon Racing boat was back after their flip at the season opener in Marathon, Florida, with driver Lee Murray and throttleman Edwin Shear.
Let's go!
Let's see you out there!
Let's go!
The race would be 8 laps and 48 miles. The course in Sarasota is a 9-pin oval circuit that's 6 miles long, with a slight dogleg. The Monster Mile runs closest to the beach and provides up-close action for the spectators. Gladiator Canados has pole position with number 7 Marine Technology in P2 and 151 Express in P3. The boats line up for the running start. The green flag is up and the race is on. There's a massive bunch up in the middle as the blue Marine Tech boat veers to its port side and 151 Express is caught in the middle with nowhere to go. 151 Express's bow lifts in the melee and they fall back. They get a proper hose down from 2 rooster tails as the field pulls away. Number 7 Marine Tech also backs off, trying to find its line in the confusion. Gladiator Canados was slow on the start and is trying to make up ground. The two leaders, Hanks Saloon and Waves and Wheels, choose an entirely different line to the first turn buoy, while Gladiator Canados and Marine Tech stick to the correct one. The two pairs cross over each other's lines. Gladiator Canados capitalizes on the shorter path and move into the lead, while behind the two Doug Wright boats correct their course and bear back to the proper racing line. Gladiator Canados stays wide on the turn, drifting around at full throttle in the smoother conditions. The two leaders have zoomed ahead and amassed a nearly 9-second gap over to Waves and Wheels in P3. 151 Express has moved to the inside lane in P4 with Hanks Saloon in last place. Now going into the Monster Mile, Marine Tech's Johnny Tomlinson pours on the power in the MTI boat. Doug Wright on the inside and MTI boat on the outside. The blue Marine Tech edges ahead by the turn buoy and they keep that speed. Taylor Sissom tightens the line and moves to the inside. Gladiator Canados tries to avoid the spray as long as they can. But there's no avoiding the inevitable. It's either hit a buoy or get hosed. They enter a fury of sea spray and have to back off. The blue MTI Marine Tech leaves the competition behind and locks down first place. Meanwhile, the VX class V-hull boats also have their race start during the factory stock 450R race. Team Farnsworth Hancock Claims leads the developer Wix Filters in their massive 42-foot 1,500 horsepower monsters. Waves and Wheels in third place is on fire and steadily closing its gap down to the two leaders. 151 Express is fourth and Hanks Saloon is in fifth. Positions remain the same for the next 3 laps, but Waves and Wheels brings their gap down from 18 seconds to 11 seconds up to the leader. Hanks Saloon trails in last but moves up a spot as 151 Express drops out of the race with a breakdown entering lap 3. Marine Tech 7 maintains a solid lead, Now they just have to bring it across the line, hoping not to repeat the last race's breakdown on the final lap. Behind them, Waves and Wheels is on the warpath and catches up to Gladiator Canados. They move up the inside, entering the Monster Mile, defending its position and shutting out the hard-charging Maldonado and Aiden. Gladiator holds on for another lap, but the tenacity of Waves and Wheels is too much, and in lap 7 the red boat charges ahead into P2. Maldonado, pushing to the max now, has cut down the gap to Marine Tech to 7 seconds, but with just 1 lap to go, it's a hard task to reel in Marine Tech. The Waves and Wheels have a higher top speed now and whittle down their gap. They are just under 4 seconds as they enter the Monster Mile for the last time. But it's too late. Marine Tech, number 7, brings home the win. Taylor Sissom and Johnny Tomlinson have a flawless race. Waves and Wheels fought a good fight and end in P2. Gladiator Canados finishes P3 and Hank Saloon in P4.
The race was good, but it seems that no one is respecting the rule book, so we're gonna have to complain. They have been trying to enforce the maintain your lane at the start, and the boat outside completely closed the door. We had to go under the rooster tail. We lost power on one engine. That's not fair, that's it.
We're trying to come in, we're trying to go straight, and everyone's cutting off. They went to the right, and the buoy's to the left, and they keep pushing us in, and we're in rooster tails, and they're banging like it's like bumper carts out there.
We hit a lot of boats out there.
Yeah.
Start of the race, typical deal. Red boat was on the outside lane. He was going to the wrong buoy, so he pushed everybody together. And at the start, we ran into the Gladiator boat. Red boat was pushing the 151 Express into us. All 3 of us hit each other because we're trying to maintain our start, and the red boat's not knowing where he's going. Then it got straightened out, and it was a clean race after that. You know?
Yeah. That's where safety comes into play. We know we've got a good boat, so we just kept on rolling, ran our race, and it worked out for us, so we're happy.
At the start, the pace boat was heading in the wrong direction, and we were getting a boat pushing us on this side and hitting us, and a boat pushing us on the other side. There was no place to go. We were all banging on each other. So we took off, heading in the wrong direction. We settled in 3rd place for a while and focused on passing Gladiator. They are a defensive kind of racer, so instead of focusing on the boat in front, they were focusing on the boat in the back, blocking and losing speed doing so. So it took us about 3 or 4 laps to pass them.
Due to protests after the race, Gladiator Canados are named winners and take the top spot, to the shock of TS Motorsport Marine Tech, with 151 Express in 3rd. However, this is later overturned back to the original finishing order, with Taylor and Johnny taking the win. In addition to the races covered in this show, there were 6 additional classes competing in Sarasota, and here are their results. In the bracket class 200, Predator Starlman Motorsports with driver Dean Starlman and throttleman Nate Hunt came out on top. In the bracket class 400, the winning boat was Control Freak with driver Mark Robbins and Damon Marotta on throttle. The Stock V winner was Jimmy Robbie Racing with driver Jimmy Vessel and throttleman Robert Goodwin. The VX class winner was Team Farnsworth Hancock Claims Consultants with Christian McCauley behind the wheel and Jay Healy on throttle. Bracket class 500 went to Bulletproof Team Farnsworth GoodCars.com with driver Elijah Gingery and Eric Ulam. The bracket class 600 win went to Freebird, Reef Delanos in the driver's seat and Ryan Staleman on throttle. And the bracket class 700 win went to Jackhammer, with driver Brian Guy and throttleman Julian Maldonado. highly competitive Superstock category has 24 drivers and 12 boats entering the competition in Sarasota.
Here we go, baby. Sarasota.
Entering the race at the top of the standings was the defending champion boat Jackhammer. Throttleman Julian Maldonado and driver Reese Langen were untouchable in the previous round, putting in an 8-second gap over the rest of the field by the end of lap 1 and never looking back. Their boat and setup is at another level.
Feeling confident. It's our hometown race. We've done good the last 2 and we're going for a triple crown. Try to get 3 in a row. So.
CMR were second in the standings. Sean Connor was continuing as driver, but Sean Torrente would be subbed in this race by Johnny Tomlinson.
My main throttle man, Sean Torrente, he's in France right now racing Formula 1. Just grabbed the pole, so that's awesome. Johnny Tomlinson agreed to step in to cover him for this weekend, so Johnny's running 3 boats. Real hectic here. We're trying to get out to get some testing done.
Performance Boat Centre were in third with Myrick Coyle driving alongside Rusty Williams on throttle. Myrick Coyle was pulling triple duty, driving the MCon Monster Energy Supercat and their brand new Class 1 boat entry. Northwing Offshore had a solid start in the inaugural season, finishing 4th in Cocoa Beach, with Darren Kittredge's driver alongside Grant Brueggemann on throttle.
4th in Cocoa, had a good battle with 2nd, 3rd, and us. It was a really good battle, so yeah, we're looking forward to it. We made some changes, we think, in the positive direction, so yeah, we're excited.
Big East Construction legendary throttleman Gary Ballou continues alongside driver and owner Cole Liebel. The weekend started off with a major engine issue.
Here at GB Racing, we're all about letting our competitors think that there's something wrong, when there really isn't. We're just doing this for drill. It makes them think, wow, we've got them where we want them.
So I think if we push up on the back of the motor right now.
So we went out to test. We were out in the boat, it vibrated, it came loose. We didn't really know. We came back, we pulled the lower unit off. That is the culprit right there. We had 2 motor mount bolts sheared. Now we're just trying to see if we can maybe possibly get this back together, but it's not looking too promising at the moment.
And entering this round is last year's Play Traders boat, revamped as number 33 Savage Boat, with Randy Swears on throttle and Brian Marquardt driving. The race weekend coincided with a heat wave. That was an added challenge for the teams.
So we're about 45 minutes out from the race. The wind is slowly picking up, and we got a slight advantage with Myrick being out there in the monster boat. He said it's starting to white cap out there, and even the big boats are bouncing a little bit. So we went with a prop change. We went 1 pitch down. I'll tell you after the race if it was a good move or a bad move.
Round 3 of the 2023 Superstock Championship. 12 boats ready to hit the water off Lido Beach. The massive fleet of Superstock boats motored out to the circuit. Crowds lined Lido Beach and hundreds of boats gather around the course. Starting grid is the same as the finishing order from Thunder on Cocoa Beach. Jackhammer has the best seat in the house on the inside lane. The MR starts in P2 and Performance Boat Centre in P3. Conditions are rougher than expected as the boats line up for the rolling start. Pace Boat flies the yellow, and there it is, the green flag. The fleet goes full throttle. Performance Boat Centre starts behind the pack. CMR to their starboard has a good start and blasts off the line. Defending champions Jackhammer start to power ahead. They reel in CMR and pull away from the field. Team Bermuda GL Construction, who broke down on Cocoa Beach, have great speed on the outside. Celsius on their inside struggling to keep up. Performance Boat Centre in lane 3, leaving Northwing behind to their port side. CMR to their inside, a few boat lengths behind Jackhammer now. Team Bermuda on the outside starts to veer towards the inside into Big East's path. The green boat getting caught in their spray. With no room to go, Big East has to back off. All boats must hold their line until they complete the entirety of the next turn, but Coco's Monkey swerves across to the inside, taking the shortcut to the turn buoy. The field comes around to the front straight away, Team Allen getting kicked around in the rough seas. The boats no longer need to hold their lanes after the 4th turn buoy. CMR negotiating some rough water, trying to take advantage of the inside lane, fighting Performance Boat Centre for 3rd. CMR in Jackhammer's dirty water, but they slowly reel in Performance Boat Center. Great to see such highly competitive, shoulder-to-shoulder racing in such a closely matched fleet of boats. However, Jackhammer is in a class of its own. Not even a full lap completed, and they already have a significant gap back to boats fighting for P2. Entering the Monster Mile, CMR and Performance Boat are neck and neck. Just a rooster tail behind them is LPC, Team Allen and Northwing, all within a boat's length of each other as they move to the outside. The pack of chasers has caught up to CMR in a four-way battle for fourth. LPC has the speed, but they get bumped, catch an edge and roll over. They're upside down and the race is red flagged. Here it is again on the replay. LPC takes a flyer, then digs their nose in, flipping them over. Rescue teams and divers are on the scene in seconds. Both Lauren Peters and Anthony Smith are okay. LPC have their work cut out for them fixing their boat after its saltwater dunk. The boats line up in their original positions for the restart as a full lap hadn't yet been completed. Team Allen Lawn Care and Team Bermuda unable to restart due to breakdowns after the previous start. There's the green flag as the race kicks off for a second time. Jackhammer is fast off the line and surges ahead with their superior boat setup. Performance Boat Center showing great pace, pulling ahead of the field. Behind Performance Boat Center is the battle for third between CMR on the inside, Northwing in the middle and Big East on the outside. Behind them, Coco's Monkey and Celsius have crossed over to the inside lane, taking that turn as tight as possible. At the back of the field, Steel Industries leads the Savage number 33 boat in their first race. CMR has aced its first turn, maneuvering into second place through the rough seas. Big East on the outside attacks Performance Boat Center for third place. They maintain their speed on the outside and manage to pass Performance Boat as they go into the Monster Mile. Coco's Monkey and Celsius are in P6 and P7 respectively. Coco's Monkey has the pace on the inside and solidifies 6th place. Ahead of them is Northwing in P5. Big East has incredible pace on the outside, charging up the oncoming seas. Vedder and Gary Ballou and Cole Liebel locked in a duel with Performance Boat Center. The two boats come out of the turn in a deadlock. It's a battle of nerves now. Any slip up will give the other the advantage. It takes a tremendous amount of concentration to anticipate every ripple, wave and wind gust and maintain maximum speed. All while getting battered around in the cockpits. Performance Boat Center edges ahead, finding that bit of extra speed and moves ahead. They find their stride. Performance Boat Center are in the zone and catch up to CMR, and both boats blow by Jackhammer. Jackhammer has a problem and has come off plane. The number one boat is in trouble, but still limping along. Now it's turned into a battle for first. Performance Boat Center has the pace. They swerve to the inside and squeeze out CMR. Connor and Tomlinson get hosed down, but the fight is far from over. Performance Boat Center has the inside, but lose pace in the swells. CMR vaults ahead, maintaining a higher speed on the outside. Big East Construction capitalizes on the battle and moves up on Performance Boat Center, trying to take second place as the boats near the end of lap 1. Coco's Monkey is currently in 4th place after Jackhammer drops back with engine issues. CMR now in P1. Big East Construction and Performance Boat Center have locked horns in the battle for P2. Performance Boat Center sticks to the inside lane and Big East on the outside in a replay of the previous lap. They take an even wider line now, trying to cut back in with a higher speed. But Performance Boat Center have superior speed in the rougher conditions on the outside. They charge ahead of Big East and catch up to CMR. They retake first place by the end of the outside straightaway. Rusty and Myrick choose the inside lane again. This time around they maintain first place, with CMR giving hard chase through the bumpy conditions. Entering lap 3 now, Performance Boat Center is P1, CMR just 3 seconds behind, Big East Construction in 3rd, Coco's Monkey P4, Northwing P5, The leaders approach the finish line with backmarker Steel Industries in their sights. CMR has closed the gap to Performance Boat Center. They choose a wider line, find speed and thrust forwards, retaking first for the third time. Steel Industries pulls off the course with mechanical issues. CMR continues to extend its lead as they pass another backmarker, number 33, Savage, who's currently in P7. Performance Boat Center keeps up the chase, but later breaks down and is out. Bad luck after such intense racing. The conditions continue to take their toll as Northwing drops out of the race in lap 5. Big East Construction, now running in P3, loses power in one engine, but keep going as they're passed by Coco's Monkey, who move into provisional second. Jackhammer miraculously gain some of their pace and move up through the field, then on the final lap past the stricken Big East Construction, taking provisional P3. After 8 laps and 2 starts in the extremely punishing conditions, CMR brings home the win. What a turnaround on the anniversary race of their catastrophic boat failure here in 2022. Jackhammer manages to cross that line in second, and Big East continues to the end to take third.
We got a much better start second round. It was cleaner. I think they had us covered going out to turn 1, but we had a good turn coming around the first mark and kept us in the race. And then we battled it out with Performance Boat Center for the next 4 laps, trading spots back and forth.
And a lot of boats didn't make it back today, and the boat held together, so it's a lot of work that goes into these boats, keeping in one piece, and today showed it.
Yeah, we managed, I think, a 10 or 12 second lead here on both starts, and unfortunately our motor decided to go in a Guardian, something about ignition, and took us out of that, but we were able to finish, so third it is.
I got my brains beat in. We got pitched a little bit on the second restart from the outside, but we just held our line and stuck with it, and a couple people broke and passed a couple guys and ended up second. So it was exhausting but fun.
Restart and everybody just starts breaking their stuff because it's nasty water.
You need to go up with it and come back.
Well, could have been better. Real good this morning. Boat ran real good this morning. And got a little bit rougher out there, but I didn't want to change the setup. I knew it could pull and run it pretty good, but yeah, we just got caught up. Just tripped one a little wrong coming into that corner, you know, just tripped it and grabbed the nose a little and just kind of rode the wave out, you know, and just went on over. Water come in pretty quick, the window, but we were able to get out. So.
Thank you.
And that completes the 39th Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix. See you at the next round in Sheboygan, Wisconsin.
Welcome back to beautiful Sheboygan, Wisconsin, the 2023 inaugural Mercury Racing Midwest Challenge. Mike Iwaski, Matt Trulio from Speed on the Water, and Thomas Yarbrough from F1 National Powerboat National Championship, rather. Matt, we are getting ready to go super stock racing. The course is 5 miles long. They will run 9 laps again today. There will be no parade lap, so the pace boat, Vinny DiOrio, and his Outer Limits Cat will take them down, get them in the mill, and immediately get them started. So no parade lap this year. We did not get pole position, so we don't know who's on the pole. Sometimes it's reverse starting order, but I'm not sure how they did it today. Sounds like we have an interview ready down in... I'm sorry, it sounds like we have an interview ready down in the pits. Gemma, who are you down there talking to now?
Okay, so I'm here on the pit. We've got a lot going on. We've got boats craning in, all sorts of stuff. Fill me a little bit on where we are. Talk me through yesterday for you.
Yesterday, green flag dropped, and we had Guardian issues from the get-go. So it was about a 65, 70 mile an hour ride to turn 1, and we just completed the first lap. just behind everybody, just getting a feel for where each pin is. That way today we're familiar with where we're got to be. It was difficult to get a real good feeling for the course because we weren't going real fast. So we think we've made notes on where we want to be on each turn, but obviously when there's boat traffic, it's going to be tight.
Absolutely, and the conditions out there are a little bit different to yesterday. Wind direction, how's that going to affect you on the course?
I think it's a perfect medium between Friday's test session and yesterday's race. So I think we've made adjustments accordingly, and we're just going to hope for the best. And it's not a points race for our class, so this is just a really, really detailed practice. Very, very detailed practice. Meaning we get to see how we stack up against the rest.
Okay, so that's great to know. So is the mood different on the boat in this kind of situation as opposed to if it was kind of pressure on, all points matter kind of situation?
Low pressure, no risk. It's about having fun and gaining as much knowledge as possible. So what we'll do is we'll go out there and we'll run about 65-70% of our capabilities, and we can ramp it up to 80-90% when we want to. But it's basically just a download data session.
Okay, so what would be a good situation for you? What would you be happy with by the end of today?
Oh, we're going to win.
Okay, good. I'm just going to get that out of you. You're far too relaxed for my liking. Okay, awesome. So the vibe is good.
Oh, it's always good, especially here with Mercury. And they not only did they help us, they went over the top. They did an incredible job helping us. Not just our team, but a lot of the other teams. Their support's really, 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 really helpful.
And I hear that it's very much a family atmosphere. Obviously, it's very competitive out there on the course, but back here, teams are helping teams. Everyone's, sharing crew.
Absolutely. Between sharing lights last night and extension cords and making sure our generators gassed up so that way the next door team can use it while they're wrenching on something last night. Oh, absolutely. That's just the way Powerboat racing's always been, and we're happy to continue that.
Okay, so game face on for now then.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, here we go. Looking forward to it. Thank you very much for chatting to us. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Gemma, down there with the 151 Express guys getting ready for their 450 factory stock race coming up next. There is yesterday's winner, Jack Hammer, boat number S01, as they wait to get clearance. I think we're waiting to get Angel 1 up in the air, the X Insurance helicopter, providing X Insurance aerial footage today. Yesterday kind of struggled with a little bit of connection. Hopefully we can get that polished up today and bring you that great aerial footage from X Insurance.
So we're going to put a wager on this one, guys, like we did in Class 1 yesterday?
Yeah, let's, we'll talk about that in just a minute. There's a Savage boat. There's Big East Construction, Gary Ballou, Cole Leibel, Savage, Randy Sweers, and Mark Granite. Can't say enough about this town of Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and how welcoming and how nice they are. One more time, just looking at the block party. There's the Performing Arts Center located downtown. Just some, Matt, as you mentioned, some beautiful monuments, some beautiful sculptures, some beautiful parks. Just a great place to come visit. You can Google Sheboygan, Wisconsin, and find out all kinds of information about all the things to do here in town.
Just the waterfall by the library is absolutely beautiful. It's surprising. I mean, this city is a gem. You know why they call it the Malibu of the Midwest?
I don't know. Again, I don't know if they want to be referenced as that, but that's okay.
Malibu's not this developed.
Well, this is true.
And it's not this much fun, and it's not this pretty. It just has a beautiful coast.
Yeah, just a beautiful day. Matt, let's run through our super stock lineup, and then we will do the Thomas, Mike, and Matt picks for this super stock race.
All right, folks. Once again, we have 11 entries in the super stock class. I'm going to start with Big East Construction. Driver Cole Leibel, throttleman Gary Ballou. Jackhammer, yesterday's winner. Driver Reese Langheim. And throttleman Julian Maldonado. In the Celsius boat, we have Chris Hopgood, owner-driver, and we have throttleman Jay Muller stepping in for Ryan Beckley again. Steel Offshore Racing, Dominic Steele, driver, throttleman Ricky Maldonado. Allied CMR, we have Sean Connor and Sean Turete. North Wing, we have Darren Kittredge, driver, Grant Bergman, throttleman. In Team Savage, we have Mark Rannick, driver,
all right.
Randy Spears, Broadway.
All right, back to the live action here. Not sure what happened, Matt. We lost your communication there for just a second, but may have hit the wrong mute button accidentally.
Back.
Yeah, you're back there.
You got me. I want to finish up then. North Wing Offshore with driver-owner Darren Kittredge and Grant Bergman in the throttleman position. Team Allen Lawn Care and Landscaping, John Strayman, driver, Bill Allen, throttleman. Performance Center, Fast Diesel Fuel, Myrick Coyle and Rusty Williams. Rusty throttles, Myrick drives. LPC, Anthony Smith Jr. on the wheel, Lauren Peters, the owner, on the throttles, and last but far from least, we have Coco's Monkey with the father and son team of AJ Bogino driving and Peter Bogino throttling.
Thank you, Matt. That is your Super Stock lineup. Let's take a quick commercial break before we get this Super Stock race underway. We'll be back right after this.
Check.
That's Matt.
Check.
If you own a home or business, it might surprise you to see what is not covered in your insurance policy. There are gaps and exclusions in primary and umbrella policies.
Salim, how's that for Matt?
If an incident or claim occurs and you don't have the right coverage in place. And that's why you need a true umbrella policy from X Insurance. There are 40 million lawsuits filed every year in the USA. Let's get that target off your back.
We're going to go through the commercials and come back, correct?
No, I just can't see it on our YouTube page.
We're coming back after. We're coming back after this commercial.
That would have been. There we go.
Welcome back to Sheboygan, Wisconsin 2023 Mercury Racing Midwest Challenging inaugural event taking place here on beautiful Lake Michigan. All right, guys, the Super Stock boats are underway. We will repeat your top three from yesterday. Jackhammer, Coco's Monkey, and North Wing Offshore, your top three. Thomas, I'll start with you for your pick today.
You know, I had a great time hanging out with these guys when I was at Lodo, so I'm gonna stick with the probably the coolest named boat in the field, Coco's Monkey.
Coco's Monkey. I've considered to be one of maybe the underdogs. Matt, who do you like?
Oh, I'm going to go totally off the card today. I'm going to go with Team Savage. Mark Granite and Randy Swears are both talented. Let's see if they can gel today. That would be pretty cool.
It would be good. Let's see how that boat maybe likes the rougher conditions here on Lake Michigan. I think it's gonna hard to beat. I think it's gonna be hard to beat. Jackhammer. Matt, you know as well as I do, when they've gotten on a roll, they've been hard to stop. They were 2 for 2, Cocoa Beach and Lake of the Ozarks, and then, didn't win Sarasota, but came in second place in Sarasota. So, it was still a consistent win, still on the podium. But then they come up here and they dominate yesterday. Again, when that momentum, it's been known when that momentum starts for that team, it's hard to get them off of it.
And just in the last 2 seasons, that it took them a while to get that 32 victory dialed.
It did.
Definitely did. And last season, they won a national championship. They were doing great in Key West, but they had to tangle up with play trades, and that kind of put them out of it. This season, as we talked yesterday, they had a good, solid start, a little bit of a pause, and then they came back and won yesterday.
Yep. And, of course, Play Trades is now the Savage boat.
Exactly.
Yep.
Different sponsor.
Yep, with Randy Swears and Mark Granite in that boat. Beautiful red, white, and black paint job. Thomas, why your pick? What besides hanging out with them at Lotto?
Yeah, I think, yesterday, I saw, obviously they had a solid finish yesterday. I think really, realistically, if they can get a good hole shot, depending on where they're lining up, I think they could possibly, with the change in the wind, maybe drive the Jackhammer all over the course and kind of keep them at bay. I think they can play defense and get out in front. They're fast enough, but they can hopefully play some good defense. That's why I like them.
Well, a completely different course here, Matt. You and I talked to Randy Sism last night at our little quick award ceremony we did over here at the stage in front of the Blue Harbor Resort. And I asked Randy, I said, Randy, do you think this turn number 1, pin number 1 all the way through, was this turn wreaking a lot more havoc on the teams than what they anticipated? He agreed. He totally 100%. Yeah, I think it was. But completely different today because now they're going to be running almost straight on into a roller. Not as big as it was when we came out here this morning, but it's still a little bumpy.
Well, look at Vinny right now running that 37 outer limits, just in the pace boat. He's bumping around. He's
Yeah, I mean, and you can see there's some big air there. That's, Allen Lawn Care Landscaping. As they head down to their mill area, they will slow down and do their circles and then get ready to start. We may do a running start. We saw that yesterday in 450 factory stock, and we saw it with the Class 1 boats as we saw them do their parade lap and then basically went right into a start. Actually, Class 1 didn't. I apologize. We were waiting for the helicopter. So I think they're going to try and do that again, try and get these races off as quickly as possible. Beautiful Outer Limits Cat, twin 450 Mercury Racing outboards. Vinny Diorio, of course, runs SV Offshore Roland Transport in Super Cat. You'll see them next up in St. Petersburg. P1 Offshore F1Powerboat.com for more information. Follow your favorite team. Watch these live stream. Watch post-race coverage as well as we get ready to go racing here in Super Stock. Can't see the green flag just to the left of our screen, but they are lined up, and that is a good lineup if they're going to start. Now would be the time. Green flag. We're going racing in Super Stock. Last time here in Sheboygan. Who is going to get the jump? Who is going to get that all-important hole shot? And it looks like Jackhammer on the inside, picking up right where they left off. Considerably rougher out there today, though. You can see him Matt wheeling around just a little bit more, a lot more air, I think, coming this way. It'll be interesting to see when these guys turn and start to catch this breeze.
Yeah, there's no doubt. It's going to be a very different race today. Last race, we didn't see anybody get out of the water. Not really.
Yeah,
Today,
but look at this. I mean, right now, just look at Jackhammer. I mean, obviously, they're considerably slower than what they were yesterday, and they're bouncing around quite a bit more. That is Allied in second. Matt, look at Sean and Sean. They're making a run now for second, but here's my odds-on favorite. This is who I should have gone with. Allen Lawn Care Landscaping, make a move on the outside. They've gotten around Allied. Let's see if they can make the move on Jackhammer. Have to maintain your lane through this first corner. That's critically important. We saw some enforcement of that yesterday with 450 factory stock. Let's see if that happens again. But man, Allen Lawn Care Landscaping, Billy Allen, I apologize. I should have gone with you for my favorite today.
Oh, don't worry. You made a good pick.
I did make a good pick, but let's see how it shakes out.
Once again, we see Jackhammer right out front, pulling away, doing exactly what it did yesterday.
Look at these shots, though, Thomas. Look at these boats coming through this turn. They're getting some air, running real good, level and flat.
Absolutely. Look at that. Is that the LPC? Boy, they are all over the place there in about lane number 4.
Yeah, LPC really quite bow high running there. Allied's dropped a lot further back than what I had anticipated. Anthony Smith, Lauren Peters are going to have to get LPC under a little bit of control, run a little bit of too much positive trim and carry in the bow quite a bit. Matt, Performance Boat Center, Fast Diesel Fuel Systems, all the way at the back of the pack. An uncommon place to see that boat.
I think they're being patient, and I think that's been their strategy all season. I think they're being patient. I think they're coming up.
Back to the live racing action. Big East Construction now trying to make a move on the inside with Allen Lawn Care Landscaping. Jackhammer continues to lead, but here come Cole Leibel and Gary Ballou. They are going to make it happen. They take over second place. It's a victory 1-2 with a Doug Wright now in third. Thomas, we saw Big East do this yesterday.
Yeah, they did, but they just didn't seem to really finish the race. The first half, they looked really great, and then they really started to kind of fall back as the race went on. Let's hope that they can kind of hold that chartreuse super stock up towards the front throughout the entirety of the race today.
It is super rough on the backside of this course. They are getting a lot of air and really tucking these boats in. They do not want to kite these things, and conditions a lot different today than they were yesterday. Of course, the Class 1 boats I think will really enjoy this, but that's Big East Construction. They are currently running in second, the Canadian-based team with Gary Ballou on the throttles. Of course, Gary Ballou, an XCAT world champion in his own right, and also Class 1 world champion in the Abu Dhabi boat, Matt.
Look at that. Now we've got
the
pick you wanted, Team Allen.
Yep, Allen Lawn Care. Yeah, my dream pick, Allen Lawn Care Landscaping. They are running really good. Currently in third, Big East in second. Jackhammer continues to lead as we finally get a look at how these boats are going to handle this outside leg of the course. And much as we thought, Thomas, it's rougher than it was yesterday, but it doesn't really. It's not surprising me with how rough it is.
Not at all. Not at all.
Allen Lawn Care Landscaping, they're currently running in third. Big boost of speed there for Big East as they were able to get around for second. There is your leader in Jackhammer. And Matt, these boats actually look like they're slow enough that something may actually be wrong by our vantage point, but I just think it's that confused and that bumpy out there.
I just think it's very lumpy, as you were saying, and it's mixed. It's lake water.
Yep.
It's hard to find a consistent pattern. Lake Michigan is known for that. It's some of the most difficult water to run in.
Yep.
Look at last weekend.
Yep.
Michigan City. I mean, that was a brutal race.
North Wing offshore, just to the inside of the rooster tail of Allen Lawn Care Landscaping. That looks like Allied. It is. And there is LPC. Where is Coco's Monkey? Yesterday's second place finisher in the Super Stock race. Where did they end up? Jackhammer continues to lead. That should be Big East just behind them. The 1-2 victory combination right now with Allen Lawn Care Landscaping in third. So North Wing offshore, let's talk about that team real quick, because it looks like maybe Allen Lawn Care Landscaping trying to catch Big East.
They're coming up on them. I think they might get them into the corner here.
Yep, they're going to complete lap number 9 and enter the Monster Energy straightaway for the first time today. There is Coco Monkeys. They are racing with Steel Industries. Of course, talk to Dominic Steele. A fascinating story with that young man, 24 years of age, and runs Steel Industries, a night optics vision company that provides night optic lenses for the military and different government branches. Very fascinating to hear that story. Jackhammer continues to lead, however. Boat number S01, Reese Landheim and Julian Maldonado.
Boy, they sure are the class of the field. I mean, I really thought that the rougher water might, have to change their strategy enough here today on Sunday that they would equalize the field, much like we saw in the F1, right? The wind change, we saw the 93 of RJ West dominate yesterday, not as much today. But boy, Jackhammer doesn't seem to matter. Rough water, smooth water. It looks like they are doing everything they can to go back to back.
The race now is, however, for second. Allen Lawn Care Landscaping has gotten back around Big East. Allen Lawn Care Landscaping now into second. Big East relegated back to third as they enter pin number 1, 2, 3, and 4. Wow, big error by Jackhammer just out of my vision there. Pretty rough through this corner, Matt. These guys getting quite a bit of air here.
Oh, yeah.
Well, some of those swells and rollers we were seeing earlier this morning. You were talking about how with the wind direction and the rollers, the way they're coming in, you expected this north end turn to be pretty rough.
Yeah, this is exactly what I kind of thought it was going to do, as that gives you a good shot. Big East Construction now back to, I believe that is North Wing. Yes, North Wing and Allied and LPC now giving chase to Big East as they try and chase down Allen Lawn Care Landscaping. Jackhammer is in the lead.
Coco's Monkeys just got by Steel Industries. Steel Industries put it way up on its tail. Really got squirrely there coming through the second of these 4 pins on the north end of the course.
Yeah, that boat's dancing around quite a bit. It's been carrying the bow. They kind of need to get it maybe tucked in just a little bit, having some trouble maybe getting the boat to set where they want it. It's kind of, again, it is very confusing water out here. Not for this team, however, though. Look at that boat, Matt. That Victory Hill running flat, just perfect.
It's perfect. He said they picked the right setup. Maybe, I didn't see their, I don't know what they did, but maybe Coco's Monkey thought they could use the same setup they did yesterday. If they did, it was a big mistake. The conditions are completely different.
Well, for sure, and it's going to be harder to get your start in this. It's going to be harder to do everything out here in this style of water, but it'll be interesting to see with Grant Bruggerman running in North Wing offshore. It'll be interesting to see what he goes back and tells that that X Insurance Good Boy Vodka team what they may change for their setup for the Class 1, the last and final race of the offshore powerboats here at the Mercury Racing Midwest Challenge.
And that was one of the things I was curious about from yesterday. These guys that are running double duty in classes, do you think that they give themselves a bit of an advantage?
No, they do. They 100% do. They will definitely talk to their crews and radio back. They'll send a text probably as soon as the race is over. If the boat's not in the water, hey, let's change this setup or let's do this. If the boat's in the water, then sometimes they'll jump in the water, change a prop, do what they have to do to pull the setup off. So definitely make some changes as they need to. Allen Lawn Care Landscaping about a rooster tail length ahead of Big East Construction right now in Super Stock. This will complete lap number 3 of 9, 7 to go. Once they come by that finish line and onto the Monster Energy straightaway. Great race for Jackhammer, but this is exactly where I expected to see Billy Allen. This is what he is known to do. He likes these rough water races. I don't think he has anything for Jackhammer at this point, but Thomas, as we race in these particular conditions, this really comes down to setup, right? Because your boat's going to get super light again in these conditions. It's going to start flying. Although it looks like Big East Construction, Matt, maybe tucked back up the inside. It looks like they did.
Yeah, now Team Allen is gaining hard. Big East never let it get away from him too far.
Never. No, about a rooster tail length behind. And as we said yesterday, I think we're getting to see some pretty interesting racing on different parts of the course where these boats like the water more, going one direction more than the other. Because Big East definitely made up a lot of ground heading into that bottom south end turn as they were able to get back inside Allen Lawn Care Landscaping. But another good look at Jackhammer.
For everything you gain in setup, you have to give something away.
Exactly.
So at some portion of the course, your setup's not going to be ideal.
Big East now making a move back on the inside of Allen Lawn Care Landscaping. What a great run for Gary Ballou and Cole Leibel in that Victory Hull. The Chartreuse livery Of course, easy to call from the announcer's booth and pretty much everywhere on the race course. Alan Lawn Care Landscaping trying to make a move on the outside. Looks like they may run the little bit wider of a line through the corner. Although with these conditions, they're not really worried about scrubbing off too much speed, so they can pretty much run right pin to pin as long as they've got the line to get in there.
That is a great race for second right now. That's tight.
And let's see if Big East can maintain the pace again. Yesterday, it just seemed they fell off just a little bit. But right now, I don't think anybody has anything for Jack Hammer.
They're way out.
Yeah, I mean, a tremendous lead right now.
They're gone.
And it seems like you were talking about how you have to give up something when you set up, right, based on the wind conditions. And it seems right now, right, coming back into the wind, Big East Construction has the advantage. But once they head south out of turn number 4, Alan Lawn Care seems to just lay the hammer down, and they really start to pull back away. The question is can one boat keep the other one from gaining the ground on their particular better half of the course?
Well, I can tell you right now, you're exactly right. But where it's a true equalizer is in these corners, right? Yeah. Because, Alan Lawn Care Landscaping, as we look at LPC S27, Lauren Peters, and Anthony Smith. Whoa, big stuff there by LPC. They went under, but they were able to keep it upright. Big stuff. And I kind of wondered about that, Matt, in the first few laps of the race. They really were flying that boat very high, carrying the bow quite a bit. And Lauren Peters, if anybody follows P1 Offshore Racing and Superstock, Lauren Peters has had some bad luck over the years with incidents, and that was another one. It looks like the boat is okay. Maybe douse the engines a little bit more than what they wanted. Let's see if he can get that boat back up to speed. But look at this. Big East, Matt, pulled back away from Alan Lawn Care Landscaping.
Yeah, you could kind of see it coming into this turn. They were getting good speed through good entry speed and good exit speed.
And just to give everybody, it looks like LPC is going to turn in and head back to the pits. They are pulling off of the course there. You see them. They are turning back into the Sheboygan River. Will head back to the pits. So maybe something has happened. They don't feel that they can really recover the way that they need to. They will head back in. There's Alan Lawn Care Landscaping. They are currently in third behind Big East Construction. So Thomas, what we were talking about prior to that LPC slight incident there on the course was, when it's rough like this, nobody has an advantage in a quarter as far as who can run the shorter or longer line, because you guys could be running, the boats could be running side by side, flat. All of a sudden the boat on the inside will hit a hole and it'll stand itself up and they'll lose a whole bunch of speed, and the boat on the outside will kind of start accelerating a little bit more. So the rough water in the turns is where yesterday, you see the longer and the shorter lines. The rough water in the turns is really an equalizer when it comes to going through these turns and who picks the better line.
So when you see this rougher water, guys aren't going to stay out in lane 4 to keep the top end speed up there. Everybody's going to try to go to the pin as close as they can?
As close as they can, but like we saw with Big East and Alan Lawn Care Landscaping the last time by, they were side by side. So right. Big East kind of controlled the corner, could push Alan around really wherever they wanted to within the turn. I mean, they were respectful. They didn't do anything malicious intent, but if you saw Big East hit a flyer, and maybe that's what's caused this change in for second place right now, is the fact that maybe Alan Lawn Care Landscaping took a flyer that we didn't see, and Big East was able to carry more momentum continuing through the turn.
Just look at Jack Hammer, you guys. It's just running away. He's gone. He's just going.
This is going to make it tough.
They set the boat up right.
They did 110%. That Victory Hull looking great today. But I got to give my hats off to Big East Construction, because they look really, really good as we should have 5 laps remaining this time by. But what a run by Jack Hammer.
Now, what does this do for the national point shakeup if you see Jack Hammer go back-to-back, winning not one 2-day race, but 2 one-day races? That's got to do a lot for their point situation as they look to go back-to-back as national champions.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, they'll be coming out with the lead if they win this race.
Yep, 110%. But what a run for these guys. The battle was, however, for second with Big East and Alan Lawn Care Landscape. Let's see if we can get some sort of update on what happened there. Looks like there goes Jack Hammer. Yep, should be 6 lap remaining as we come across the finish line on the Monster Energy straightaway one more time. There is Big East Construction. So they are currently in second. We have a replay right now. I believe this is of LPC. Yep, there's the stuff right there. Actually, really wasn't that bad of a stuff. They stayed up on the surface pretty good, but those Mercury 450s, or Mercury 300s rather, probably got a pretty good hose down there and maybe shorted something out or caused some sort of electrical problem.
It was a pretty hard hit. I would like to make sure that Lauren and Anthony Smith are okay.
Definitely.
That was a hard hit.
Definitely was a hard hit. Here is Allied and second place from yesterday, Coco's Monkey. They are a little bit further behind our leaders, but a great battle for this Doug Wright and this MTI. Matt, and as I watch Coco Monkeys, they're still kind of getting that Doug Wright figured out. They're still trying to get a little bit better, be a little bit faster, and I kind of see that with how they're running, kind of carrying that bow quite a bit, and just a little bit loose. Loose is fast, but sometimes out of control, as Cole Trickle used to say.
Absolutely. I do have to admit that the Allied construction boat is running perfectly.
It does look very, very good.
Very controlled.
Yep.
Now it's not at the head, but they are in control, and that's a good thing to have because these races go on. You've got laps left.
Yep. You've got a lot of attrition to get through with rough water conditions like this, and this turn is really just wreaking havoc on a lot of these guys. Thomas, you can see just really carrying the bow and pulling wheelies, as we call.
Yeah,
as we call them,
absolutely. They are just hammering into it. And, you saw that stuff from LPC. And I don't think there's no more violent wreck in any form of boat racing than the stuff. It's just a dead stop, and hopefully they're okay. But, well, hopefully we don't see any more of that because, man, that can really ruin your afternoon, your weekend, and your season. Well,
when boats flip over backwards and they set, when a boat literally goes over backwards, actually when it sets down, when it flips over and it comes backwards into the water and that's actually a completely different stop because it's actually switching from basically forward to reverse, right? So they're getting slammed the complete opposite direction of what they're going. While you're right, a stuff is like driving into a wall, right? I mean, you're just hitting that wall and you're immediately coming to a stop. That wasn't a super bad stuff. Like I said, they stayed up on the surface. It didn't go. It looked worse, way worse at first than what it was. As one more look at it here. Nothing really obviously, Matt, that made me think they were going to do it. I mean, that was a nice, good level flight, but did drop the back there. Oh, there was the trip.
Hey, and there you go. Top of that roller right there, and it just sent the nose down.
Yep, tripped right up over top of it and sent it right down into the face of the next wave. But you got to see the cockpit, and the boat did its job and kept the driver and Anthony Smith and Throttlman Lauren Peters safe during that somewhat scary moment.
It's like that Allied with Northwing there. So Allied starting to make a move on the outside against Northwing, who's sitting in that fourth position. Allied looking to make a move with Sean Torrente there on the throttles.
I'd really be interested to see who is in front of this group. If that's Coco's Monkey, I can't tell, but there is a boat right there just to the right-hand side of our screen. Northwing has really kind of run a really good race in front of Coco Monkey and Allied Racing, but let's see what happened as S number 77 falls back one spot behind Allied. I think Coco's Monkey is going to be up in front of those guys.
And do I see that Big East has started at least maybe not gain a ton yet, but at least hold that gap between themselves and Jackhammer, who's running out in front?
Yeah, they have. They've held the gap. It hasn't changed much in the last few laps, but it's a big gap.
Yeah, right. What they're looking for now is maybe the guys in Jackhammer just misjudge a wave, case it, do something like LPC did, get a little squirrely in the corners, and they're going to have to pounce and pounce hard if they get that opportunity.
So that's Coco Monkeys. Now they are currently in fourth, Allied in fifth, Northwing in sixth. We'll round out our top six order here in Super Stock as Allied has firmly gotten around about a half a rooster tail length past Northwing with Darren Kittredge and Grant Bruggerman.
Northwing really sliding back, was fighting for third, shuffled back to fourth, now rolled all the way back to sixth. Looks like that setup might not have been what they were hoping it was going to do here on the course.
Well, we're beyond the halfway point now, and if your setup's going to fall away from you, Matt, I believe in these conditions, this is when it's going to start to happen, and you're really going to have to start trimming that boat and running a more negative setup, if you would.
Hey, it seems obvious, but boats are burning fuel, boats are getting lighter, things are changing.
You see here, that's a Jackhammer coming into turn number one there after the Monster Energy straightaway. Oh, no, looks like, oh, no, your pick.
Yeah,
S33
okay.
Savage.
That happens a lot. I think it's a Sports Illustrated curse. You pick them, there they go. Sorry, guys. Team Savage is in the middle of the course, some kind of a mechanical.
Well, it looks like here the Allied still running against Northwing. Yeah, it looks like the Sean there, Matt, really liking that wide line. They're really staying on the outside, and Northwing's lived on the inside today, and it looks like it may not be paying the dividends that they were hoping it was going to.
I said it earlier.
And I think I'm getting word from our production booth. I think Jackhammer had kind of a close stuff. Might have a replay of maybe a small incident that happened with that Victory hull somewhere on this course. Let's take a look at what happened. Looks good. Running flat. Kind of set it on the back there a little bit. Ooh, big dive. Nice hop there. Yep. And Matt, they virtually did the same thing that Lauren and Anthony did in LPC. They went up, they flew it, they carried the bow. And actually, Thomas, what's happening there is that boat is flying up. It's actually catching a little bit of a breeze, and the breeze is peeling it up just a little bit further. I think if that didn't happen, they would have probably cleared that next wave. But the fact that the back dropped out of it, it hit that next wave, tripped up over it, and stuffed it down in front.
You can definitely see they skimmed the water a little better than LPC did, which is probably why we're not seeing Big East all over the backside of that jackhammer machine running out front.
No, for sure. And that was a good save. They definitely didn't go in super deep at all there. It was a good save by that team, but it shows us what the conditions are like out here. And I guarantee these 450 factory stock boats that will come up next are really probably watching this race pretty closely right now.
Yeah.
And maybe thinking about tweaking their setup. And even the Class 1 teams are going to think about what's coming up for their race, because the conditions have laid down, but they've stayed pretty consistent for about the past 45 minutes or so as Allied continues to run now, I believe, in 5th as they have gotten around North Wing. Yep, there they are right there. No, North Wing not letting them go very easily, Matt.
Not at all, but look at how nicely Allied is running. Very controlled. I said it before. They need to stick with it.
It's really amazing you can get with all the offshore classes, how you can kind of get in that rhythm. Almost like rolling whoops on a dirt bike, right? You really can get into that rhythm. Once you get into rhythm, you just kind of want to roll with it. It's amazing how these guys can find that rhythm.
Well, and this shot right here is really showing you how confused the water is. Big air there for Allied as they hit one of those waves, but you can kind of see just it's coming quartered sea to them, so it's broadsiding them just a little bit, but there must be some holes that they're finding, because in that condition you won't always get that big air. So that means there's a roller coming in front of them that they're hitting and kind of going up in the air a little bit higher than what they wanted to. Grant Bruggerman, who is actually throttling North Wing, he talked about the conditions here being 110% different than what we saw in Michigan City last weekend, because in Michigan City he said there was just no rhyme or reason to it. It was kind of like a washing machine effect. It just came from every direction, every type of wave, every size of wave, so on and so forth. Here he said on Friday, at least in testing, he could kind of rhythm it together, like you said, kind of just like doubling over a dirt bike jump or something like that. He could find a hole, get over it, kind of feel what the boat was going to do, and kind of guide it to where he wanted to go. So where this washing machine effect, a big difference. It makes a big difference in how the boat's handled. But this, Matt, now this has become a race maybe for first between the victory hulls.
Yeah, I think that jackhammer's minor stuff. Well, he definitely lost time. That's obvious, but. Big East made the most of it. They've gained a little bit. Now, will they catch them? I have no idea, but they did make up some ground.
Now, it'll be interesting to see where Allen Lawn Care Landscaping is compared to this battle. If these two boats get much closer together, they could start to slow each other down and let that rough water boat of Allen Lawn Care Landscaping catch up to the back of these two. And let's see if that happens. We should have about 2 laps remaining of this super stock race. Race number 1 here in the offshore powerboats of the Mercury Racing Midwest Challenge, coming to you from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. There is Allen Lawn Care Landscaping. Matt, that was an uncharacteristic flight for Billy Allen in that boat. He's not known to really wheelie it up like that and then roll over on his side.
Once again, but you know what? Look at them just handling it.
Yeah.
They're driving through it.
They're putting that boat where they want it to go.
And is it possible now with the rough water that maybe Jackhammer didn't put their late stage calculations into their plan for today? Oh, look at it, as Jackhammer just goes way high out of turn number 2.
Getting word from our production booth right now. Gemma is with Lauren Peters and Anthony Smith of the LPC crew. Gemma, what can you tell us?
So I'm just coming to you now with a quick update on the LPC boat. You can see it just behind me. They have now docked, and I know that we all saw them take on water, go under the water during their race. Very happy to report that both Lauren and Anthony, they're both absolutely fine. I've had a word with both of them. What happened was when they went under, they blew the escape hatch and started taking on water, and they were worried, obviously. So they pulled off the course, checked they weren't going to sink. They've made it back, they've staggered back, and now a big repair job is underway. So just to let you know, all is safe and well, but the boat is a little bit worse for wear.
Well, thank you very much for that update on the LPC guys as they get ready to pull that Doug Wright boat out of the water. Back to the battle in Super Stock. There's a good shot of Allied and those Mercury Racing 300R outboards, a fairly new engine to the class, as we explained yesterday. A lot of these, this is really the first full year that we're seeing all the boats run them, as it's been somewhat of a transition. But now we might have a battle for first, and we do. Where did Big East come from?
Holy cow.
They've been chipping away slowly but surely at Jackhammer, and they've been able to make it work. Now, Thomas, Thomas, whoa, big air there by Jackhammer, almost the stuff again. That is going to let Big East take the lead, and they do. That's what I'm talking about. If they can keep those wheels on the ground, keep the props in the water, they're going to be able to carry a little bit more speed. Thomas, Matt and I have mentioned all race long that, the setup can come away from you in these rough water conditions, but can also come to you, right? If you're a little bit heavy at the start, you want to burn some of that fuel off. Rather, you'll be able to start making up more speed, and that's what's happened here. Although that big flyer by Jackhammer and somewhat stuff again. As we take another look at that run, yep, this is Big East and Jackhammer side by side. This is coming out of pin number 4 in that first turn. There is the flight. Big carry there by Jackhammer. Yep, and that's exactly what they did before, Matt. A little bit stuffed, but see, they got a little bit more sideways. It stood them back up. They hit that next wave so hard, and it was so steep, you could see it threw them back up in the air, slowed them down, and that gave it to Big East. But I'm not going to count Jackhammer out. I think Julian and Reese, they can definitely find their way back around Big East if Big East catches a flyer like that.
Right on. So if Big East does hang on to win this Superstock final here on the Mercury Racing Midwest Challenge, maybe we see, if we peeked in the front of that boat, maybe a little bit of extra lead in the nose than the folks at the Jackhammer team, helping them keep that thing nice and level and flat here in the late stages.
Gary, Matt, I'll let you speak about Gary Ballou, but he is one of the most seasoned veteran throttlemen in cat outboard racing.
Yeah,
hands down.
Multi-time world champion, a true professional, takes it very seriously, as you expect.
Yep.
Super talented, focused. I almost picked this team.
And he has a lot of experience in these types of conditions, these bigger, rougher, kind of rolling seas, if you would. This is kind of good water for him because XCAT, they run a lot of races overseas in this when, XCAT ran in these type of conditions. So he's very familiar with this type of water. But as I said, don't count out Jackhammer. They're on the outside of Big East. They're about a half a rooster tail length behind. I think Big East did catch a couple big flyers there. So right now, I think this is going to come down to conditions and just who can manage their race and manage their boat at this point. Every time those props leave the water, though, one of these two boats is going to slow down and allow the other one to catch up. Jackhammer trying to make a move on the outside of Big East. Big East is going to have the inside line coming into the corner. Jackhammer going to be on the outside. I don't think Jackhammer is going to have overtake. I don't think they'll be able to close the door. And I don't think they will. Big East going to be tight to the pin. Jackhammer going to try and carry more speed.
Right now, this is about not making mistakes.
Exactly.
That's so important.
Jackhammer takes just a little bit of a lead away from Big East. Now, I do expect them to close the door going to the pin. They've established overtake quite well. They left it open there. Big East did get hosed down a little bit. They're going to have to slow as they jump back out over that wake. That was really good driving there by Jackhammer. They really made a move on. They really just out-accelerated them, I think, midway through the corner and were able to pull away.
Back in the day, long ago, this was all about throttleman.
Yep.
This whole sport was how good is your throttleman. These courses are shorter. There's multiple turns. Driver really, really matters. Reese Langheim's talented. He's doing a great job.
Alan Longhair Landscaping continues to run in third. They want to see Jackhammer and Big East get into a battle so they can try and catch up. But just out of your view on the screen and what we can see here, live racing action, Matt, Coco Monkeys, all of a sudden they seem to be making some sort of a charge on Alan Longhair Landscaping. They may be trying to make a run for third and get back up on the podium.
It's good to see. Maybe their setup's coming to them. We were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, and you got to figure Sean got to be frustrated in that Allied construction machine because that battle with Northwing has really caused them to drop back away from Coco's Monkey, and they were trying to hang in there with them.
Look at this, you guys.
Jackhammer's taking those big flyers back on the outside just like they did on the previous lap. What a shot there by Parker Lindsay in the X Insurance helicopter, the X Insurance aerial footage today. This gives you an idea of what those boys are doing. And Matt, this is a race for the books here in Sheboygan. Let's see. This is going to come all the way down to the wire. Jackhammer is going to be on the outside. They have not gone through the dog leg yet, right? So the dog leg, they're going to have to turn back left. Big East is going to have the inside line for that turn and then line themselves up with the south end of this course. And let's see how they manage that.
You'll notice where Jackhammer has gotten out of shape has been in almost the same part of the course.
Almost the same exact part of the course, yep. Running in that direction.
Exactly.
So, but I don't think this is like Key West. So in Key West, Thomas, you have holes.
Yeah.
There are a couple of drain pipes that dump out into the harbor, and they actually create a change in the conditions of the water, and you know that they're there. So you can kind of anticipate that your boat's going to do that. While Jackhammer's making the same mistake in kind of the same area, it's definitely not the same hole in the same condition.
No.
Yeah, we get the same thing in F1 when we run on such tight waters. You go across like a 4 to 6 lane boat ramp.
Yep.
That wind will shoot down that boat ramp, and the guys have been there at these race sites before will know, hey, you better back off or change the attitude of your boat. Otherwise, you'll send that thing over on your head just from that change in the water from that boat ramp, allowing the wind to run into it, just much like the water being pumped into the harbor there in Key West.
Yep, exactly. Jackhammer was able to get away from Big Eats some, about a rooster tail length ahead of that, but a little bit sideways there. Steel Industries now down on the inside of the course, so a tough day for that team. We hope they come back and are able to improve on their run, but this is the race right here. This is first place in Superstock, Big East in second. Matt, look at that burst of speed from Big East right there. All of a sudden, they've just found some more speed, but I think they're staying in the water a little bit better. Oh, except for right there.
But it's amazing to me how you'll see even different parts of the straightaway where they'll get into that groove and be able to keep the props in the water, and then they, maybe they make a misjudgment or the water changes a bit, and now they go from hitting the waves and the props out of the water every 6, 8, 10 feet.
Well, and this is a really cool shot, Matt. We haven't seen these victory hulls run this tight and this side by side in these type of conditions, and they're running really very similar. The flight seems to be about the same, how the boats are handling and dancing around. This is a very equally matched race right here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next turn here. Obviously, Jackhammer has priority. I mean, they're going to keep the inside line, but Big East has some burst speed, it seems. Like
they do,
and something.
And well, you're going to kind of wonder, okay, as you go into this turn, you may want to try and pinch back to the inside. If Jackhammer leaves that door open, maybe you could get back to the inside, but you just don't know what you're going to hit. You could hit a hole at any point, and that's going to cost you more ground. It looks like they made the smart move. Cole Leibel, Gary Ballou stayed to that outside line, kind of hoping that maybe Jackhammer hits that flyer wave. They've happened in this corner a couple times. We know they're there, and that could be the equalizer between first and second place. Here is third place, Allen Lawn Care Landscaping, kind of running by themselves, but again, just to the back of this team, though, Coco's Monkey seems to be making up just a little bit of ground in fourth place, running up towards third.
Yeah, that would be solid move for Coco's Monkey if they could get up on the podium back-to-back races here this weekend at the Mercury Racing Midwest Challenge, help them move up a little bit in the season point standings.
This boat just looks so good. This Doug Wright hull, Allen Lawn Care Landscaping, just perfect. Boat's running really, really good. Seems to be handling the chop quite well. Now we're back to the battle for fifth place. This is Allied and Northwing, as there is Coco Monkey. So that gives you a good idea of how close Coco's Monkey has now gotten to Allen Lawn Care Landscaping as this race starts to wrap up in Superstock.
Yeah, it's just going to be about time. How do they have enough laps to actually catch and get by Allen Lawn Care, or are they going to run out of time here on this 9-lap?
Northwing trying to make a move on the outside of Allied. Sean and Sean are going to go to the inside. Darren and Grant going to be on the outside. There is that flyer, although Northwing hit it, Matt, just about the same spot at the same time.
Yeah, they did all right through it.
Northwing trying to make a move on the outside, but this is a Throttleman's race, especially in this class. These Throttlemans are having to work the sticks back and forth today and manage these boats because they got to keep them down on the water. They got to keep that acceleration going as Northwing tries to make a move on the outside of that Allied MTI.
Really, they really pulled up side by side with them there through the north end of the course here. Haven't seen that much today in this rough water. Normally they kind of hold their positions in the turn, but Northwing making a nice move on the outside there against Allied.
Yeah, carrying a little bit more speed. That boat's a little bit taller, I think a little bit heavier, so it probably likes these conditions a little bit more as it looks like they're going to try and make that move for fourth place. This is fifth and fourth. Allied. There's your big hop by Allied, and Thomas, you got to see it. Look, that boat literally just kind of stopped, and Northwing was able to pull away a little bit more.
Now the question is can they get through the chicane on the back straightaway and really kind of move their way into the inside line on the course and get around Allied as they come around the south turn at the far end of the course.
Back to the lead battle for the lead, however, though, Jackhammer now has pulled away quite a bit more. In fact, more than we've seen for the past few laps from Big East. So kind of wondered what happened on that back straightaway as now Northwing is starting to finally open up past Allied. Tough day for the Savage team, though. Mark and Randy down in the middle of the course. We hope them all the best. We'll see them in St. Petersburg. They'll definitely go back and do their homework and get that Doug Wright Savage hull figured out.
And there's Performance Boat Center coming into your screen. We haven't heard much from them today.
Performance Boat Center, they're a pretty good rough water team, and they're not on it today. I don't know if they just completely missed their setup or what happened, but
they're really off on the start. And that's got to be hard, especially in this rough water, to try to move through 11 boats. I mean, we've only got 8 left, so you talk about how much more difficult the water is today. We had 0 attrition yesterday, 3 already.
And look at Jackhammer. They're not. I'm not saying they're being conservative right now. Looks like they're throwing it pretty hard.
All right, that looks like the white flag, and it is. So that is the white flag. This will be the last lap for this Super Stock race. If Big East is going to do something, they're going to have to do it now.
Yes, sir.
They're going to have to just start trimming it out and hanging it out to dry and seeing what can happen. They're not really close enough to Performance Boat Center Fast Diesel Fuel Systems to be worried about lap traffic. I don't think that will really come into play here, but let's see what Cole and Gary try to do as these victory holes go 1-2 deck-to-deck battle here in Sheboygan.
Will these guys have like contingency plans for if they're in a situation like this? Like, all right, this is risky, but we're going to do it, and we're going to lay the hammer down and try to track him down here on the final lap.
Maybe. I mean, they're just going to try and run the boat a little bit harder. They're going to try and maybe just bump the trim up a little bit more, try and carry as much speed as they possibly can. But I think at this point, Big East knows where they are. I think they know what's going to happen if they try and trim it up and they try and go a little bit faster, because I don't think the course is really going to warrant that. But, at any point, somebody could take a flyer, stuff it, maybe trip it, and, Big East just needs to be right there in case something happens to Jackhammer.
Exactly, Mike, exactly. And you know what? This is a series, so second place produces points. It's not the worst thing to happen.
This is a serious series at this point.
Yeah, it is.
Jackhammer continues to lead in Super Stock. Big East in second. Big East just to the left of your screen here as they exit that turn for the final time, the north end turn, pin number 4, and head back down to the dogleg. I don't think Big East has got it at this point. I think they're a little bit too far behind. I don't think, no matter how much speed they could find, I just don't think it's going to be possible then for catch Jackhammer. But anything could happen. It's proven that way on this course all day today that, you can't count anything at this point.
Well, how many times have we seen this season alone breakdowns on the last turn of the last lap?
Exactly. Yep.
And you got to tip the cap to Jackhammer. I mean, they made a mistake. You got to imagine they were both very frustrated in that cockpit, and they said, all right, let's go back to work. They went back to work. They left the incident down there on the south end of the course behind them, and look what's happened because of it. They were able to get stable again and now find themselves back out in front.
The team on the move to me right now is Coco's Monkey. They are really trying to chase down Allen Lawn Care Landscaping as best as they possibly can as this last lap winds down. But right now, Jackhammer, I think this is going to be pretty much their race. They got to get through the dogleg and then through the south turn one more time as they turn up and take the checkered flag. Enter the Monster Energy Stroy Day for the last time in Superstock here in Sheboygan.
Yeah, tip of the cap we just saw as we watched the Jackhammer. Looks like the Northwing team's really done a great job of getting by the Allied Construction, really separated themselves after the majority of the race. Those two going side by side, deck to deck around this 5-mile course.
Yeah, Thomas, for sure. That was a great battle, too.
It was.
They did it. They raced each other the entire race, and then they never gave up.
Matt, let's talk about Big East construction, though. Cole Liable, Gary Ballou has not been really the season that they've wanted. Even last season, just kind of struggled to kind of get things to where they want them. This is a huge confidence booster for them to be able to do this.
Yeah, I know the Coles wanted to get on the podium. We were talking in Cocoa Beach a little bit one night. And
although, Matt, I don't want to interrupt this. Maybe a drag race towards the end here.
I think you're right, Mike.
Yeah, I don't know where Big East found some speed there on that south end of the course. Now they're going to run back up into this chop, kind of into the breeze, if you would. Big East is going to be on the inside. Jackhammer is going to be on the outside. They are going to catch up to lap traffic, it looks like, with Performance Boat Center Fast Diesel Fuel Systems. But Rusty and Myrick pull that big air there. I think Big East might have taken the lead with that hop, but here comes Jackhammer back on the outside.
Boy, what a finish this. You guys were not kidding the last lap antics here in Superstock class. Wow.
This is absolutely crazy. Jackhammer about a half a rooster tail length ahead. There is Performance Boat Center Fast Diesel Fuel System staying way to the outside. They don't want to mess with this battle. Big East has just got to try just a little bit harder, but I think they might just run out of room here in Sheboygan. But what a race between these two victory hauls, Reese Lanham and Julian Maldonado, and Cole Liable and Gary Ballou in Big East. Jackhammer takes the win, Big East in second, but what a race, what a run towards the end there by Big East. Hats off to Cole Liable and Gary Ballou for sure.
I mean, to have, a quarter to half a second separate first and second in a bunch of boats that are 32 foot long running on a 5-mile course, that is impressive.
Yeah, now that was an absolutely fantastic race. And Matt, as we wind down the Superstock Series here, that's going to be a big boost for that Big East team. Big confidence boost for the Big East team.
It definitely is, Mike. And they deserve it. They've worked hard. But I've got to, once again, recognize Jackhammer. They just came in here and dominated.
Yep.
2 races.
Yep.
Dominated.
Yeah, and I think it would have been. I don't think it would have been as close without that baby stuff down on the south end of the course by Jackhammer. But credit to them. I mean, it's a lot of people it gets in their head after something like that, a slip up on the course, and you fall back a position.
Look at this.
Coco's Monkey really trying to challenge Allen Lawn Care Landscaping, try and get on that podium spot and go 2-3 for the weekend here in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Think they're going to run out of room. But I've got to pay my hats off to Coco's Monkey. You know, a team that is still fairly new, still trying to get this class figured out, racing a whole bunch of entrants with Allen Lawn Care Landscaping and Big East and Jackhammer. And hats off to Coco's Monkey being able to challenge as they have and run as hard as they did this weekend. Allen Lawn Care Landscaping going to come in third, and Coco's Monkey is going to come in fourth after Jackhammer takes the win. Big East Construction in second, Allen Lawn Care Landscaping in third, and Coco's Monkey in fourth. What a run for S39.
You see, it looks like the Allied Construction finishing up there in fifth. And you know who we didn't really hear a whole lot of today was the Celsius team. They really kind of were back there in that 7th, 8th, 9th and really just couldn't find a groove.
Nope.
Yeah, they've been quiet this weekend. And,
actually, North Wing is going to come across in fifth, and Allied's going to come across in sixth place.
Good.
Oh, I apologize
in
about
Super
that.
Stock.
Good pick.
So Sean will head back to the pits as Celsius Performance Boat Center Fast Diesel Fuel Systems will come around and finish their race. That will race up the first race of the day here in Sheboygan, Wisconsin for the Mercury Racing Midwest Challenge. Jackhammer is going to head on over to the pace boat of Vinny Diorio. The Monster Energy Girls probably on board, going to hand out a checkered flag to Jackhammer for the second time. 1-1 here for racing in Sheboygan.
So what does this do? We look ahead to your guys' final round of 2000, or not the final round, but the next round, a Labor Day weekend down in Florida. How are things going to leave here, and who's really going to have a shot to even try to get Jackhammer for the rest of the season in the Superstock class?
St. Petersburg is a flat water race. It's very rarely ever rough. It's kind of calm where it is on Tampa Bay. It's kind of tucked back up around the point. So that's a very, very fast race. And Jackhammer's proven that when it's flat, they can be a fast team. I think that Allied is going to be one to look at. They did very, very well in Sarasota, obviously taking the win there. I think you're going to have to watch for them. And I think all of a sudden now you might have to look at Coco's Monkey. I mean, they ran really good yesterday. They have found some speed, so I have to watch out for them. But really, as we saw, the difference between yesterday and today, Superstock is really anybody's given race at any given moment.
Oh, absolutely. And I think all these teams are fast in the flat water, to be honest with you. Big water, it changes. There's more advantages.
One more time, a look at the LPC stuff. This took S27 out of the race. Give you an idea. Took a little hop there, then they hit this ramp right there. And they went up and see the back drop, and then it just hit that little kicker right there and went straight down. That is a typical trip and stuff move, quite common in offshore powerboat racing. Now, if you were in a V-bottom, it just would have plowed the water apart and you would have kept on getting on. But when you stuff a catamaran like that, it's a little bit harder of an impact and a little bit harder on the equipment. Actually, you see the hatch opening up right there. You see the hatch kind of bouncing up and down. Don't know if that's why they decided to pull back in. But glad Anthony and Lauren are safe, and we know those guys will come back out in St. Petersburg in just about 3 weeks. This was the battle of the day, though. There's the stuff by Jackhammer.
Oh.
That was one time where Big East was going to be able to take the lead away from Jackhammer and kind of start to pull away from him. But, Matt, Jackhammer just had speed somewhere that I don't think anybody else anticipated as they were able to get back by Big East and take the win.
They were able to overcome two pretty significant mistakes and take the first place.
Although we're probably glad we didn't have any in-cockpit camera there inside the Jackhammer when they hit that little mini stuff, because they had to have been very frustrated with themselves allowing Big East to get around them down there on the south end of the course.
Well, there is nobody that's more fun to hang out with and celebrate than Reese Landheim. He is a great guy. His wife, Sarah, did a fantastic run here in Sheboygan. Congratulations to Jackhammer, Julia Maldonado, and Reese Landheim taking the win in S01. We understand Gemma's got some interviews down in the pits. Let's throw it to her.
I am here with Caleb Mead, driver for Mead Family Racing at just 16 years old. Caleb, you are incredible. Finished third yesterday, hoping for good things today. How are you feeling?
Pretty good. The water's looking rough, so it's going to be kind of like Michigan City, which did not go well, so we're hoping for a little bit better of a race, and it's kind of nerve-wracking, so we'll just see what happens and hope everyone stays safe.
Absolutely, so important. And I'm just trying to get my head around how this has come about, because you say this is only your third ever race, is that right?
Yes, ma'am. So Randy Schism, who owns MTI, we've known them for many years, and I brought the idea to him, and my dad thought me and him were joking, but we were serious, and he somehow convinced my dad that it was a good idea, so now I'm here with them and all their help, so I'm very thankful for all of that.
What did it feel like being in the boat yesterday?
During the race, I was really just paying attention and not so worried about what position we were in and just trying to finish the race and do as good as we can. And then after is when all of it hit, and it was pretty exciting to know that I got third.
And what's the reaction been like with your family?
They've been super stoked about it, and I've gotten a lot of texts saying good job, and they're all proud of me, so it's pretty cool.
And your throttle man?
He's very excited. He started hugging me and hit me on the head and just started screaming, and he was very proud. So I'm thankful for all of his help. He's done a lot for me.
And is your throttle man, am I right in it, is Sean Torrente? Yeah, Sean Torrente, so a legend in itself. What's the dynamic between the two of you? Have you looked up to him for many years, or?
No, so Randy,
No.
Randy introduced me to him July 5th in Miami, and he's helped me. He's taught me literally everything I know about turning the boat, getting it going straight, how we know if it's straight, and when the boat settles and all of that stuff that's really important for a race. So
I feel like we're witnessing history here. This is going to be a momentous moment for you, only bigger things to come. Do you feel that?
Yes, ma'am. There's me and then Logan. He's also really young, so we might be the future of this, and I hope everything goes well.
Absolutely. It's fantastic to see you out there, and all the best today. Wishing you the best of luck. Have fun.
Thank you.
As we are back live, there is Jackhammer, Reese, and Julian with that checkered flag going 1-1 in Sheboygan, Wisconsin for the inaugural Mercury Racing Midwest Challenge. Matt, these are kind of a different duo in the cockpit, as you see there, not only but in size, but in age and just personality, but a great team nonetheless. Congratulations on their win, Jackhammer, your 1-1 victor here in Sheboygan.
They look pretty happy.
They do.
You got
well, Reese is kind of just a happy guy in general,
Reese
right?
I mean, really got a great demeanor.
Right, he does. He's just kind of a happy overall guy. But, nothing like taking that win and dominating the way that they did here in Sheboygan.
He's actually got a great dry sense of humor, too, by the way, if you get a chance.
Saw Caleb Mead there earlier running that Mead Family Racing MTI. He will be up next in 450 factory stock as those boats will take to the course in about 35 minutes. About 35 minutes from now, we'll have race number 2. That'll be 450 factory stock. We will bring live coverage to you. You're watching the inaugural Mercury Racing Midwest Challenge. Come to you live from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. I am Mike Uwaski for Thomas Yarbrough, Matt Trulio. We'll be back right after this.
If you own a home or business, it might surprise you to see what is not covered in your insurance policy. There are gaps and exclusions in primary and umbrella policies that make you a target if an incident or claim occurs and you don't have the right coverage in place. And that's why you need a true umbrella policy from X Insurance. There are 40 million lawsuits filed every year in the USA. Let's get that target off your back.
Back to your winner in Super Stock, Jackhammer taking the win, 1-1 here in Sheboygan in that victory hull. Big East coming in second today with Allen Lawn Care Landscaping coming in third. And we talk about how Allen Lawn Care Landscaping is a rough water boat, Matt, and you really got to see that today by their performance. Really picked it up and were able to run with this front group.
Yeah, I mean, if they'd had more, obviously you can say if they had more laps, they might have gone, climbed further up the ladder, but you called it early. Bill Allen is really good at this kind of water.
Yep.
He's got John Strema doing well with him, and it's a good cockpit crew.
Yes, it is, but nobody could touch Jackhammer this weekend. And Thomas, Thomas Jackhammer looks just like boat number 93 in the F1 race. Let's throw it back down to Gemma in the pits.
So I'm here with some of the fans, some of the spectators that have been watching the racing unfold, and it's incredible to see the variety of people that we've got watching, some that are brand new to the sport and some that are absolute diehard fans. So first of all, we have Greg. Am I right? No, Greg. And Eric, that's right. Okay, we get that. Eric, so are you new to the sport? Is this a new spectacle for you?
It is. I mean, I've watched it, on TV, and I've always been intrigued by it, but to see it in person, see the crane lower the boats down. Yesterday we were out on the course with a boat watching it. It was just awesome, really awesome. And it's awesome for the community to host an event like this.
Absolutely. The whole town seems to have turned out. There's a real festival vibe going on.
Absolutely. And we're equipped for it. We've got a beautiful lakeshore. I mean, it's like an ocean.
Yes.
It's just 60 miles across, though. And so it's not quite as big, but it's a great resource we have in this community.
Yeah, and you're right. You do have to remind yourself that this is a lake. Sometimes you forget. You think it's salt water. Thank you very much. Now, from one pilot to another, not myself, I'm not a pilot. Obviously, I'm referring to the drivers. But you're quite a special guest here, aren't you? Tell us a bit about who you are.
My name's Greg Cowan. I used to be an Air Force One pilot for about 13 years.
And the youngest Air Force One pilot in American history, am I right?
Yes, back in the 90s.
That is incredible. And have you flown many presidents? Give us a flavor.
I was assigned with President Clinton and President Bush, 43, and did 13 years with those two.
And did you get to meet them? Did you chat with them? What were they like? Give us the inside gossip.
They're very, very friendly, very obviously intelligent, and got to see them a lot. And then 8 years with the Clinton administration, I got to know them pretty well.
Wow, it's incredible. And obviously piloting a vehicle that goes even faster than these boats here. So any tips for the drivers out there today?
Make sure your drink is secure.
Yes. There may be some turbulence out there today, ladies and gentlemen.
Tailwinds are cool.
What do you make of the racing out there?
Oh, I love it. I think it's great. I've watched it, like Eric said, on TV, but I've never seen it in person. So it's really quite crazy to me. I just afraid to see them go airborne one time, and it scares me because I know the aerodynamics are right on the edge of lift to take them away. But
absolutely, out of all the fans here, you can probably empathize a little bit with what it must be like in there in the cockpit, the importance of communication as well with throttleman, co-pilot.
Yeah, for sure. I've just watched a 16-year-old get into the cockpit, so I'm intrigued by that. I'm going to see that coordination. So
absolutely, and he came third yesterday, so some amazing stories unfolding here.
Yeah, that's great. It's glad I showed up.
Absolutely, gentlemen, we're very glad to have you here. Go and enjoy the racing, and thank you very much for having a chat. Thank you. Not at all. We'll get you some more action a little bit later on, but for now, enjoy the scenes.
Beautiful look there at the wet pits here in Sheboygan, Wisconsin. We see some super stock boats getting ready to come out. And we see the 450 factory stock boats being put in. There's GC Racing, there's Marine Technologies Incorporated, TS Motorsports, there's Gladiator Canados. There is your winner from yesterday, Doug Wright Waves and Wheels, and then the 151 Express team as DeFalco heads to the crane to head into the water for the Class 1 race. Beautiful racing here today. We were just talking in our pause, and I think the wind is laying down just a little bit more. There's a beautiful look at the Coast Guard station. Have to give a shout out to the United States Coast Guard. It wouldn't be possible to have these races without them. We actually have to control the Sheboygan River here when we do these F1 races, and if it weren't for the men and the women of the United States Coast Guard, we wouldn't be able to make events like this happen. Have to thank all the branches of our military, though. The Marines, the Navy, the Air Force, and the Army, fighting for our freedom here and all over the world. We were able to come out here and have fun like this on the weekend, enjoy everybody's company because of those guys protecting our freedom. The city of Sheboygan, of course, your police, your firemen, your paramedics, city employees, the mayors, the public works team, all the people it took to be able to make this happen. Thanks to the town of Sheboygan and everybody here for being so welcoming, and we look forward to coming back for many years to this Midwest Challenge here on Lake Michigan.
The amount of coordination required in an event like this is just epic.
It is. It's very difficult to do. Got another interview with Gemma down in the pits. Nope, sorry, technical difficulties there. We do this interview wirelessly over to the pit, so it takes a little bit sometimes to get everything established. So that's why we're going to get to do it in a bit of a delay, so we apologize.
Now, while we're waiting for the Gemma to get the next interview lined up, we look at...
Apologize about that, as misunderstood there. All right, well, we're going to go to a highlight reel, take a quick break. We will be back with racing here from the Mercury Racing Midwest Challenge, coming to you live from Sheboygan, Wisconsin. Mike Uwaski, Matt Trulio, and Thomas Yarborough will be back right after this.
Powerboat racing series, the UIM Class 1 World Powerboat Championship, was back after a long break as veteran legends lock horns with fresh, new talent in the quest for glory. The Class 1 fleet raced in 5 exciting rounds this season, followed by a standalone event, the Offshore World Championships in Key West, Florida. In this show, we'll bring you the first half of the 2022 season, rounds 1, 2, and 3. The 2022 season kicked off with thunder on Cocoa Beach in Florida's beautiful Space Coast. That was followed by the Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix with a super fast circuit. Then the series moved north to Michigan City, with the stormy waters of Lake Michigan providing a heart-thumping, action-packed weekend of racing. Let's start with round 1 on Cocoa Beach. Thunder on Cocoa Beach, a decades-long classic on Florida's beautiful Space Coast. Multiple classes were raced, including the Superstock and Supercats, in a powerboat celebration that went the entire weekend. There were 5 teams competing at Cocoa Beach, with both fresh and familiar faces on hand. The circuit for Thunder on Cocoa Beach ran along the shore, giving fans the opportunity to experience the thrill of seeing these boats up close along the entire circuit. As the first Class 1 race of the 2022 season was set to go, 345 Racing ex-insurance team were working right up to the final moments before the race, fixing their drive shaft. The pole position lineup was determined by a random draw, and JBS Racing drew the coveted top spot. Race time as the boats made their way from the wet pits and out into the circuit for the 8-lap race on this 7.5-mile circuit for a total racing distance of 60 miles. But that does not sound or look good for 345 Racing as ex-insurance breaks down and stops on its way out into the circuit. They are unable to start. Seconds to go before the start. Green flag, the race is on. The boats floor at 2,200 horsepower in a drag race to the commitment buoy. 222 Offshore Australia may have jumped the start, which may mean they'll receive a 30-second post-race penalty. But 222 charged ahead to lead the field from the get-go. 21 Husky Racing was trailing, but keeping pace with the Australians ahead. Nigel Hook and Jay Johnson of Lucas Oil were pulling away in third, as Jeff Stevenson and Michael Stancombe in the JBS boat trailed in fourth. The team to catch was Giovanni Carpitella and Darren Nicholson in the lead boat. And just look at what those waves and bumps feel like in the cockpit. Drivers really getting a beatdown lap after lap. Lucas Oil Satcom Direct E3 were in third and going strong, but just 1 lap later they ground to a halt and bowed out with an engine issue. JBS Racing moved up into third position. Curtis and Lilly appeared to be upping the speed on the straightaways as they built momentum and rhythm in the middle portion of the race. 222 Offshore Australia found the going rough, and as they entered the straightaway on the back stretch with the bigger waves, they took some big air and slammed down hard. They came to a complete standstill, floating on the waves. Disaster for 222 Offshore Australia, who were out of the race. JBS was still in the race and on course for a runner-up finish in their first ever Class 1 run. Husky Racing Husky Chocolate Steve Curtis and Britt Lilly were on their way for a record 9th Class 1 world title. Husky the winners with 20 points, JBS second with 15, and 222 Offshore Australia's Giovanni Carpitella and Darren Nicholson could take consolation in third place and 12 points on the board.
Really good down the water. We found out afterwards actually that 222 jumped the start, so they got a 30-second penalty, which would have been nice to know halfway through the race. Wow. Wouldn't have pushed so hard. Yeah, I don't know if we'd have got by them, like I said before, but the boat was all set up, didn't miss a beat, so we were super happy.
It's a day, we finished. But to come first you got to finish, so unfortunately, yeah.
This is a race, you know, sometimes it's for 10 euro pieces, sometimes it's for a big one, but it's a racing.
It's a dream come true. Never in my 55 years and 35 years of racing offshore that I thought I would be racing against the Class 1 gentlemen.
Round 2 kicked off with the 37th annual Sarasota Powerboat Grand Prix on Southwest Florida's Gulf Coast. Sarasota County provided the quintessential white sand beach getaway with golden sunsets and a very vibrant social and artistic scene. The weekend kicked off with a block party sponsored by CMR Construction and Roofing as the behemoths assembled downtown for the traditional boat parade, as fans got a chance to see the boats up close and also meet some of the drivers, including Travis Pastrana, who was back with Husky Racing after missing round 1 in Cocoa Beach. There were 4 teams competing in round 2 of the Class 1 Championship in Sarasota, with Lucas Oil Satcom Direct E3 unable to join. Big news in the lineups going into round 2 was the return of the legendary Travis Pastrana, a golden boy of extreme sports and multiple motocross champion. He joins Throttleman Steve Curtis in Husky Racing with a win under their belt.
Oh, it's great. I mean, we've got a lot of catching up to do, so practice is really important today in pole position, but I think we'll get back in the swing of things real fast.
I'm just really happy to be back, and Husky Chapman's been absolutely dominating. They won the Indy 500 as well, so I'm going to try to step in and keep that going.
The course in Sarasota is a 9-pin oval circuit. Its long, sweeping, high-speed turns allow boats to run at almost full throttle.
It's a pretty simple course. It's got some long sweeping bends, so it's a very technical course. You know, pretty much down to the driver to keep it up and flowing. So if we lose, it's Travis's fault.
All right.
If we win, it's me.
And that's probably accurate. Yes, that sounds good.
Since 2019, these Class 1 boats have been powered by twin turbocharged 9-litre 1,100 horsepower Mercury V8 engines, which are designed to add a level of reliability while also cutting costs. Here's Stuart Halley, General Manager of Mercury Racing, talking about these engines.
To make the playing field level, what we do is we mechanically seal our engines, and then we also manage the ECUs to make sure that they're in factory site conditions and nothing's been modified. That way the teams can focus on hydrodynamic setup, and they have the benefit of a reliable engine based on a production engine, so they can really focus on test time. A lot of the race-specific engines would have finite lives, so the engines we have today really aid the teams in again, test time and setting up. That way it highlights the skill sets of the driver, throttleman, and the teams.
After the lottery draw on Cocoa Beach in round 1, round 2 offered a true qualifier to determine the starting lineup and which boat would take the coveted pole position. X Insurance went out early, finally putting their sleek red boat through its paces. Pratt & Jennings hungry for some action, but disaster struck just half a lap into their flying lap.
It looks like there's a hole in the bottom of the boat. I don't know, we were following LPC, Miles lost steering, so we came off the throttles, and the side of the boat ripped the steering out, the lines, and it just kind of exploded, and the dashboard broke apart and everything, so.
might just forego pole.
The damage was too extensive to fix in time for the race, and so they were out again. Huge disappointment for Alex Pratt as he was yet to get a single race lap in on the water. It was smooth sailing for Husky, however, as Curtis and Pastrana set the fastest lap time at 3 minutes 14 seconds. 222 Offshore Australia were 3 seconds off the pace at 3 minutes 17 seconds. JBS Racing ran into an electrical problem in qualifying, yet they got third fastest after Husky and 222 Offshore Australia. So Husky Racing took pole, Pastrana and Curtis with the best seats in the house.
So it's a couple of foot out there. It was enough that you couldn't, run it loose and hang it out, but you had to tuck it under, and it was a fine line between being tucked under and then trimmed out to get the speed. So, but it was all good. We're obviously really happy. The guys did a great job on the boat. So, yeah, everything's super.
Race day, with crowds gathering along Lido Beach and the VIP tent in anticipation of round 2. JBS Racing were putting their MTI boat in the water, but they encountered a problem.
We got delivered another issue this morning. Jeff, my driver's actually in the hospital, the owner, with kidney stones, so I've had to find a guy to sub in for me today. Kind of disheartening. I love being in the boat with Jeff, so our prayers are out to him.
Jeff Stevenson's place would be filled by Charlie McCarthy on driving duty. Teams awaiting the green flag rolling start as the boats lined up. The green flag goes up, the race was on. Great start from 222 Offshore Australia as they nudged ahead of the pole sitters. But Husky find their pace and begin to pull ahead down that opening straightaway. Husky Chocolate moved into the lead ahead of 222 Offshore Australia as Curtis found the balance and the speed they needed on the inside, but the waves were big and unpredictable. After taking a big hit, Husky lost power on one of their 1,100 horsepower Mercury engines. Sure enough, this put Darren Nicholson and Giovanni Carpitella in the lead. JBS Racing also passed Husky, Curtis and Pastrana dropping to third as they tried to get their engines fired back up. When Curtis and Pastrana finally managed to get the boat back up and running, they found themselves 35 seconds behind the race leaders, 222 Offshore Australia. Out in the lead, look at those waves, the boats bobbing and hopping as teams struggled to keep their noses down and those props in the water. And there's Husky, Curtis upping the pace as they made up the lost time and caught up with the lead boats. Husky was back in striking distance of JBS 2 laps later. Husky Chocolate was on the inside, JBS staying outside, and a great display of sportsmanship from JBS. Stancombe and McCarthy gave the lane to Husky. 222 Offshore Australia were next. Nicholson and Carpitella in their sights as Husky went on the warpath. By lap 6, the lead was cut even further. The two boats locked horns in a drag race, with Husky finding the clean water and the top speed on the outside that propelled them past the Aussie team. In third place, JBS Racing's bad luck in Sarasota continued as they suffered a mechanical issue and had to pull off the circuit. And so Husky Racing cruising in the lead, on track for yet another 20 points, making them clear favourites for the world title this year.
One of the coolest things ever. Steve always said he's like, oh, we can turn it up, we can turn it up. And we stalled at the beginning. I looked over and said, now I'm gonna see what fast is like. And man, was it fast. Pretty cool, pretty freaking cool.
It was weird, wasn't it, that water? You get along and you can hang it and you go, oh, this is going to boom. Bang, yeah. We went off the gate, we got a great start, hit the right on the pin. We went off, it was running like a freight train, we hit a really big wave, jumped up, but it all level and nice, came down, one engine shut down.
We have a couple of alarms and we wrong the setup. We don't understand it's rough like this outside, so we are too much light.
Charlie did an incredible job. I'm glad I picked him to come in the boat with me. I'll let him in there anytime.
The overall results after round 2. Husky Racing sit atop the world standings with 40 points, and on 27 points apiece are F1Powerboat Offshore Australia and JBS Racing. Class 1 Series headed to Michigan City, Indiana, for the first freshwater race of the season on the Great Lake of Michigan. This venue is famous for its rough seas and high winds, as the battle in the north was on, with multiple classes racing for an action-packed weekend. To kick things off, a boat parade, where teams showed off their machines and riders met and mingled with fans as Michigan City turned out to greet the Class 1 fleet. Races down and 4 to go, it was critical for teams to rack up points. There were 4 boats racing in the Great Lake Michigan Grand Prix, the only major change being the new boat and number for 345 Racing X Insurance. After 2 breakdowns in 2 outings with no laps raced, Miles Jennings and Alex Pratt could finally look forward to some action in their new number 11 X Insurance Good Boy Vodka boat.
So we started the season with two unlucky races. Broke the boat both times, unfortunately. We actually purchased a new boat, put a team together in 30 days, record time. It's been an amazing boat. We're really looking forward to going around circles today.
Jeff Stevenson was back in the driver's seat for JBS Racing. The team owner fit and healthy and ready to race alongside Michael Stanko on throttle. The circuit on Lake Michigan was a short sausage course with very tight turns, fresh water, and winds and waves expected. Teams filed out for the qualifying to see who would take the pole position race. Husky went out and, true to form, laid down a blistering lap of 2 minutes 03.67. F1Powerboat Offshore Australia off the pace with a time of 2 minutes 06.11. X Insurance were still to find the proper weight distribution or setup on their new boat.
We've arrived at the first race without any real testing, so we're not sure about weights or props or how it's going to work and handle.
X Insurance Good Boy Vodka had a decent run without any mishaps, but they weren't fast enough to catch Husky Chocolate with a time of 2 minutes 13.11. Bad luck for JBS Racing. They did manage to get a lap in, but then had to retire with electrical issues that they'd been dealing with in the previous round. So Husky Chocolate with the best seat in the house ahead of the 3rd race of the season. F1Powerboat Offshore Australia in P2, X Insurance P3, and then JBS Racing 4th. Race day on Lake Michigan with conditions stormy and rough on the water. There was carnage in the wet pits as boats from previous races in other categories came back in, and the Class 1 teams scrambled to make last-minute setups ahead of the 3rd race of the season.
It's picking up, and we've decided to make a change. Might be the right decision, might be the wrong decision, but it's getting pretty snotty out there, and the weather looks like it's staying in, so. It got real windy. They were so rough. They're flying.
I saw the condition is increasing. I watched the super stock racing, and it's going up and up and up. Last decision to reduce the ratio for a more grip and more acceleration.
We're kind of set up for a short, lumpy course. He's feeling good, I'm feeling good. Boat's running the way she should, so we're going to give it hell.
A break in the weather allows teams to get the boats out and into the lineup on tempestuous waters. The green flag goes up, the race was on. Great start from Husky Chocolate as Steve Curtis and Travis Pastrana start in pole with the inside lane advantage to the Commitment Boy. It's a very rough, very bumpy ride ahead for all teams. The Aussie boat has the speed as they catch up to Husky, and the two go neck and neck on the drag race to that first turn. Darren Nicholson and Giovanni Carpitella going all out. What a run from 222 Offshore Australia as they nudge ahead in very rough waves. Incredible speed in this duel between two of the best throttlemen in powerboat racing, Curtis versus Carpitella. In third place is X Insurance. Jennings and Pratt finally on the water and in the race for the first time this year.
On the east side of the course.
Here they are at the first turn. 222 Offshore Australia gets there first, but they are on the outside while Husky has the inside lane advantage as they come around. And they get through to the back straight, still neck and neck. 222 Offshore Australia is not easing up on the pace. Can Husky Chocolate keep up with the blue and grey? The water's even heavier on the back straight, but Carpitella is not easing off on the throttle, keeping up that exceptional pace as 222 Offshore Australia finds its rhythm and outpaces Husky. Going in third, X Insurance riding the bumpy waters, trying to keep that nose down and those props in the water. Oh, they nearly lose it. The nose goes up, but they make it back on the water. JBS Racing close behind X Insurance as Stancombe and Stevenson try to move up into the top three. Meanwhile, Carpitella and Nicholson have opened their lead against Husky, but they know there is no time or room to ease off with 10 more laps to go out there on very rough, unrelenting waters. X Insurance holds on to third, but they're getting a real beating out there, and they may have miscalculated the boat's weighting. Maybe too light on the front end as that nose keeps popping up. Meanwhile, JBS Racing just skipping over those waves, getting a good rhythm going as Stancombe and Stevenson pick up the pace and start moving up on X Insurance. JBS Racing catches up with X Insurance on the outside as Jennings and Pratt struggle to keep that nose down and that boat flat. X Insurance is taking a lot of air on the edge of control, but Pratt and Jennings keep on keeping on. And look at JBS Racing on the outside, zipping past the struggling X Insurance as Stancombe and Stevenson find the clear outside waters to take third place going into the turn. And sure enough, there's damage on the X Insurance boat's rear starboard side. Out in the lead, Carpitella and Nicholson as 222 Offshore Australia solidify first place with some very smooth handling on what are very rough conditions, maintaining over 10 boat lengths on Curtis and Pastrana in the Husky Chocolate boat. Carpitella masterful in these conditions, very much a throttleman's race out there on Lake Michigan. But behind them, Curtis is known to feel the course out for the first few laps and then power past into the lead. Can 222 hold on for the remaining laps? The damage appears not to be holding Jennings and Pratt back as they find a rhythm, keep the nose down and get the pace to now move up and challenge JBS for third on the inside lane. And they do it! What a comeback from Pratt and Jennings. X Insurance grabs third place on the inside going into that turn. Kudos to Pratt in his first ever Class 1 race as throttleman. X Insurance almost goes over again, but they keep going in this never say die display. Meanwhile, the hard-charging 222 Offshore Australia reigns supreme. Coming up on the two back markers, about to lap JBS and X Insurance. The Aussie boat speeds past JBS, catches X Insurance. The two going around neck and neck. Will this slow 222's momentum, giving Husky an opportunity to close the gap? But it seems no bother to Nicholson and Carpitella as they glide past at full speed. Never skipping a beat, a flawless performance on the day from 222 Offshore Australia and a perfect setup. JBS Racing kept up the pressure on X Insurance right to the end, but it was too much for the boat. Stancombe and Stevenson out of the race near the end. Carpitella and Nicholson's sublime performance paid off. They finished the race and stayed ahead of Husky to win their first race of the year. Husky runners-up using their 13-point world standings cushion to fight another day. And hats off to X Insurance Good Boy Vodka, who despite the huge hits, finished the race and got themselves on the podium. A much-needed win for 222 Offshore Australia, which keeps their 2022 world title hopes alive as they take 20 points.
About time. About time. Yeah, I needed that.
At last. That's 3 in a row we've been in the lead. Finally got one across the line.
we are long.
Welcome back to beautiful Sheboygan, Wisconsin for the Mercury Racing Midwest Challenge. Mike Iwaski, Matt Trulio from Speed on the Water, and Thomas Yarbrough from the F1 Powerboat Championship Series. Race 1 in the books. Superstock is done. Jackhammer dominated that race. Now we were on to 450 factory stock. We've got a quick interview down in the pits. We're going to...
First question to you, after congratulating you, of course, on your win yesterday. You are so dominant as a team. You have been throughout the whole season. What is it that gives you your edge?
Oh, it's that we have a lot of preparation. I know very well the boat. Unfortunately, the past year we have some of the problem for inexperience about the V8 engines before we ran it with a Lambo's 12-cylinder. So now we finalize and we set up everything as we need to do. And we have, for sure, we are more reliable than before.
It's funny that you should mention setup. You've been very secretive about your setup. What's the secrecy?
The setup, you know, is something that you have only with experience and when you know the boat.
Okay, well, thank you so much. I think we're going to go back to the live action. But Giovanni,
All
best
right,
of luck out there. Have
to
fun.
The 450
Enjoy.
factory stock racing action. And I did not get to see a green flag drop, but it looks like we are going racing one more time in 450 factory stock. Your winner yesterday, Doug Wright, Waves and Wheels. Let's see what they can do. Matt, give us a quick rundown.
Very quick rundown, guys. We've got Mead Family Racing with Caleb Mead and Sean Torrente, TS Motorsports Marine Technology with Taylor Sism, Johnny Tomlinson, GC Racing, Willie Cabeza, Gary Ballou, Hank Saloon Racing, Lee Murray and Edwin Shearer, 151 Express, Ian Morgan and Nick Imprescia, Waves and Wheels, Doug Wright, Logan Aiden, Ricky Maldonado, Gladiator Canados with Irvin Grant and Michel Carcente.
All right, well, there is GC Racing. It looks like they are out to the early lead, that beautiful MTI hull. Remember, this is a buy the MTI hull from buy the hull rather from MTI, and then it's a concierge program to go out racing. But look at this 450 factory stock battle going through the corner. GC Racing on the outside. It's Mead Family Racing on the inside.
Oh, they're in the
Taylor
middle there.
Sism, Johnny Tomlinson also tucked up in the middle of that group, and then you've got the Doug Wrights. Wow, this is a 6-boat wide turn. Everybody's got to maintain their lanes. I think it's going to be the boat who has the inside corner, who's the inside lane rather, that's going to come out with the lead.
What a great start that was. I mean, they were all so tight to one another. They held their lanes, but still amazing to see how tight they were coming from the start through the first set of 4 turns.
Picking up where we left off yesterday, Doug Wright, Waves and Wheels out to the early lead. Gladiator Canados in second. There's a boat in the Rooster Tail, and it's GC Racing. Look at that, but Mead Family Racing also right up there as well. Look at the rookie and Sean Torrente. Sean Torrente not the rookie, but Caleb Mead is, and they are trying to take the lead away from Doug Wright, Waves and Wheels. And this, Matt Trulio, this is two true young bloods going at it in 450 factory stock.
Yeah, you've got Logan Aiden and you've got Caleb Mead. Logan is 18, Caleb is 16. I mean, they're not old, okay?
Not by any means. I told you, I hung out with Logan Aiden yesterday a little while at the beautiful Blue Harbor Resort, and I didn't even think he was the driver until Ricky Maldonado said, well, that's Logan. And I was like, oh, hey, how you doing, man? Very good to talk to him. But right now it's between an MTI versus a Doug Wright, battle 1 and 2. That's Doug Wright, Waves and Wheels. They are in the red boat. They're going to be on the inside. Mead Family Racing is going to be on the outside. And Matt and Thomas, while we felt this breeze kind of lay down, it's still a little bumpy out there. They're getting a little bit of air.
I don't think the bump dropped. Just the wind dropped. Now maybe it'll slow down. I mean, unfortunately, maybe it'll lay down a little bit for the Class 1 race. But right now the conditions look mostly the same out there from what we're seeing.
Mead Family Racing takes the lead in 450 factory stock. Doug Wright, Waves and Wheels now having to contend with Gladiator Canados. Look at that move on the inside by Gladiator Canados. They now take second place away. Whoa, it was real tight going into that corner, almost pinched off. Had to scrub a lot of speed. Got to be careful there. Oh, we almost had Doug Wright, Waves and Wheels. They code down in front of Taylor Sism. Holy cow.
Did we have some contact down there?
We might have. I was really worried about that when we saw that line up into that corner. Doug Wright Waves and Wheels simply had nowhere to go, and they just tried to maintain that line, and they ran, looks like, right up on the back of maybe Gladiator Canados. Hopefully we'll get a replay of that. That was a pretty scary moment there.
That's what it looked like to me, that they came out of the mist and Gladiator Canados was right there, and they were on top of them.
Unfortunately, we won't get a replay of that because it was on our helicopter, and we won't be able to pull up the footage. But that was a pretty tense moment there in the racing battles. There is GC Racing, so there's a boat out in front of this group now. Be interesting to see who that is. GC Racing running the MTI with Willie Cabiza and Gary Ballou. Remember, you can buy the boat, the 39 MTI with the Mercury 450 racing engines, and then it's a concierge program through MTI to go racing, a good introductory program into offshore powerboat racing.
Yeah, it's kind of like we see in tunnel boat racing, right? The Formula Lights and some of the smaller classes. I mean, obviously not smaller necessarily in this factory stock class, but it's a nice stepping stone up into the larger classes.
Well, look who came out ahead of that whole thing. Johnny Tomlinson and Taylor Sissom are now running in third place after that whole bump-and-run incident we had going into the turn. But boat number 5, Mead Family Racing, Sean Torrente, Caleb Mead, continue the lead in 450 factory stock. What a race for this team. They were on the podium yesterday. Whoop, but look on the outside. That's Gladiator Canados. Those Doug Wrights, Matt, they've been very fast here in Sheboygan.
They really have, and they've showed closing power.
They have.
Speed.
Yep. They've been able to maintain a lot of speed through these turns. 9 laps here. Lap number 1 complete. A lot of drama on the first lap. Finally starting to get some separation between these 450 factory stock boats. The MTI out in front, Doug Wright in second, and MTI in third, fourth, with the Doug Wright all the way back now to 5th. So Doug Wright Waves and Wheels, your winner from yesterday, now back to 5th place. And I don't know if there was actual contact, because I would have to think that if Doug Wright hit the back of Gladiator Canados, they might not continue to be able to race because the contact may have been pretty significant.
We don't know for sure, but I don't think there was actual contact either, because three boats
No, this is a good replay. Sorry, this is a good replay we've got here. Not the best vantage point to see if there was contact, but wow, look at that. Look where Doug Wright, and then just to the left of our screen, Taylor Sissom and Johnny Tomlinson right there in TS Motorsports. So that was a very precarious moment as they went through that turn. GC said, we don't want anything to do with what's going on in there. We're just going to go way to the outside, and it looks like it's paid off for them. Boat number 5, Mead Family Racing, continues to lead with Gladiator Canados in second. What a great run for this team.
I'd be curious to see if Sean Torrente got on the radio with the Mead Family Racing class and said, hey, let's do this, because while they were good yesterday, they seem to be even faster today.
Yeah, but see, I think the conditions has changed so much just since his race in Superstock in the past, the 30 or 40 minutes we had between the gap, that I don't think that probably would have been a very smart the water. And now they changed quite a bit, and not sure if they would have made a setup change that quick. Looks like TS Motorsports is trying to make a move now for third place in the 450 factory stock race. What a shot there, Matt, of the Doug Wright and the MTIs running side by side.
Yeah, that's as tight as it gets.
You look closely there, Matt. Look at the back of the Gladiator Canados boat. The cowlings look like they're intact, so maybe no contact made. Whoop, look at that move by Gladiator Canados. Tried to duck back up the inside. Let's see if it pays off. That was a heck of a move right there to get the inside lane. I think it might actually work.
Yeah, man, it was like when you see on a basketball court that head fake, right? They head fake to the outside, dove back to the inside. A very good move we see in a lot of tunnel boat racing as well, as you try to get them off their game, right? Like a big game of chess.
Right, exactly. Man, if we can get racing like this in Class 1 to wrap up our day here in Sheboygan, Wisconsin, man, this would be a great Sunday afternoon of racing.
Yeah, and I thought yesterday's racing was exceptional.
Right, this
Today
is just unbelievable.
So.
Gladiator Canados is currently ahead of TS Motorsports. There is Mead Family Racing, and Matt and Thomas, it doesn't look like the Doug Wright of Gladiator Canados or the MTI of Marine Technologies are slowing down at all. They're not losing any ground to our leader, boat number 5, Caleb Family Racing.
So they have to keep...
Or Mead Family Racing, sorry.
They have to keep going, stay consistent, let the race come to them. That's all the cliches in the world.
It's confusing out there, though. Look at these boats kind of hop around. That should be TS Motorsports all the way on the outside. That was kind of a weird hop they took. The back kind of walked around on them just a little bit. They were able to set it back down. But, man, look at this battle for the lead in 450 factory stock.
I mean, we're so early in the race. There's 4 boats that could easily win this race if it stays like this all game.
You can put a blanket over the top 3, top 4 boats. And we just completed lap number 2 of 9. Man, these Doug Wrights are quick here, though. You can't underestimate them, man. They're so incredibly fast.
Gladiator Canados getting a little squirrely there as it tries to push hard up on the outside hip of our leader, the F5 of Mead Family Racing with Caleb Mead and Sean
they
Torrente.
they made the same move right there. Remember, they went back to the inside for Taylor Sism in that other turn, or rather on the inside of TS Motorsports in that other turn, and that was able to work for them. I don't think they had enough. They weren't close enough to Mead Family Racing to be able to make it work down here, but they're definitely looking around. They want to see where that door's opening up. Look at this battle now. This is for fourth place, though, between Doug Wright, Wave and Wheels, and GC Racing. And there goes Doug Wright. They got around GC Racing pretty easily there, carried a lot of the speed on the inside line.
Well, I think it looks like they had a bit of a rough start, obviously way off, from where they were yesterday in that wire-to-wire win in the factory stock class.
There was all that mess up. There was all that confusion there within that bottom end corner, and they really had to lift out of it, kind of reset, regain their composure, kind of get their thoughts back right in their head and pick everything back up. But they're definitely not losing any ground. In fact, making up ground on our top 3 boats. Right now, Mead Family Racing continues to lead. Caleb Mead, Sean Torrente, boat number 5. Beautiful livery on that boat, of course. Matt, this was one of Taylor Sism's boat. I think this was boat number 2, if I remember correctly, because I think 151 was boat number 1.
Yes, and I do believe you're correct. So she's been building a new boat, or she and MTI have been building a new boat every year.
Yep.
Same boat, though.
Yep.
Absolute
same boat, out of a production mold. Cannot be a one-off type design. I asked Taylor on Friday night at the block party, I said, so Taylor, you're 3 for 3. 3 years racing in factory stock and 3 new boats. Are we going 4 for 4? And she said, nah, we're not doing that. We're too busy. We're gonna stick with number 3. So Taylor Sism is the client relations manager for MTI. It's her job to put on all those fantastic MTI events and so on and so forth. But good to see her out here racing and running with the boys.
Yeah, they have a lot of production to do, so I can see them holding onto a boat for more than a season. Probably help out a little bit.
I would think so. Mead Family Racing continues to lead in 450 factory stock as Hank Saloon just comes by us. They are way off of the pace. They were penalized 1 lap yesterday for not maintaining their lane on the start. Look at this move here, though. This is for the lead. Gladiator Canados on the inside of Mead Family Racing. Are they going to be able to make it work? They do so. Look at that. They have just driven up the inside to take the lead away from Mead Family Racing. So now we have a Doug Wright out front, MTI in second, and MTI in third. What a move on the inside. Thomas, they've looked there multiple times in multiple turns on this course. They found their opening and they made it happen.
Yeah, and it looks like that might be the move they need. They may have been the entire race the fastest boat out there, but they finally are able to get out and get some clear water. The question is will they be able to pull away from the Mead Family Racing machine? And boy, I'm definitely going to have to give Sean Torrente a little crap for letting somebody get down to the inside of him.
Well, I mentioned it before, and I think that these boats are just like in different parts of this course. It'll be interesting to see what Mead Family Racing can do here as they get to enter the Monster Energy straightaway for the 3rd time. This will complete lap number 3 of 9 this time by. There is the X Insurance helicopter, and what did I tell you? Mead Family Racing, they're pouring it on the outside, trying to make a move.
It's crazy how the different setups react differently to parts of the courses. Some run really well on the east side. Some run well on the west side. Some are doing better on the north half. Some are doing better on the south half of the course. It's just something that I'm not used to seeing because we don't see the setups dictate that much change on our smaller.
Well, and you don't see the drastic change in such areas on the course because your courses are so much smaller. Conditions change mile to mile here. Gladiator Canados is going to maintain the inside lane. Mead Family Racing is going to try and go to the outside, carry a little bit more speed through the corner. They're about a rooster tail length behind, actually half a rooster tail length behind first place. This battle is not over, and this is what TS Motorsports wants to see. But right now, TS Motorsports is going to have to start thinking about Doug Wright Waves and Wheels because they are coming up fast. The red Doug Wright hull is starting to catch the blue MTI hull.
I'll be curious to see if Sean Torrente, throttling that MTI factory stock is going to allow the young Caleb Mead to make some moves, and maybe they'll try to pull a fast one on Gladiator Canados and pull the old head fake down to the inside move that Gladiator Canados pulled earlier on the MTI team.
Well, by that helicopter shot right there, Mead Family Racing dove back to the inside and then went back. Stuff there. It's still pretty rough out there, though. While the wind has laid down, the conditions have not by any means. As you can see, these boats are getting some pretty big air. Those Mercury Racing 450 outboards dancing around on the transom of that MTI. So now they've really kind of gone out and run a wider line, it looks like, to get away from Gladiator Canados. This makes me think, though, if they're wondering if Gladiator Canados is going to leave the door open on the inside, and is Meade Family Racing going to try and tuck back up underneath them? And that's what Gladiator did to them. So I'm wondering if they're thinking about doing it back to Gladiator, because I'm telling you, they're catching them in the straightaway. I think Meade Family Racing is a little bit faster on these straightaways.
Well, and I think one thing that Sean Torrente brings to offshore racing is that close quarters, tuck right up on somebody, dive through a wake, make him confused because of all of that he has gained through his multi-decades as a multi-time world champion in Formula One racing on the F1 H2O series.
The hard thing about that, though, is these boats don't accelerate like your boats do. They can't get up to that speed as fast. So anytime they're turning the wheels and they're hopping over the waves, they're going through the whitewater, the boat in front of them, they're losing just a little bit of ground, right? And they don't want to keep doing that, because that's how, inevitably that's how you're not going to be able to stay on their transom the way that you want to. Gladiator Canados continues to lead in 450 factory stock. Meade Family Racing in second. Last time we saw him, TS Motorsports was running in third, but they were going to have to start looking around for Doug Wright, Waves, and Wheels as they were coming fast. And that's that battle right to the left-hand side of your screen, Matt. That was TS Motorsports and Doug Wright. And they are definitely catching him. Let's see if Meade now, though, can the power plant back up towards Blue Harbor Resort.
Now as we start to see the F-36, I believe that's the F-36 of... Sorry, not F-36, the F-39 of Hank Saloon. Here in probably a lap or two, we definitely could have that Hank Saloon in the mix.
It's definitely going to... Yeah,
with the F5.
Oh, but look at this. Meade Family Racing is taking the lead back away from Gladiator Canados one more time. I saw them setting that up a little bit as they exit that turn. And look at that swell, Matt. Look at how big those waves are actually out there on Lake Michigan.
Yeah, I'm not sure the conditions have changed all that much, to be honest with you guys.
Here comes Doug right up the inside, trying to get by Taylor Sissom in the MTI machine as they now go deck to deck down the west side of the course as they run north back here into turn number one.
I think something's wrong with Gladiator Canados. They're slowing very, very quickly as now it looks like boat number 7, TS Motorsports, is going to get around them on the outside. This boat was, it's just something's really different there. And Matt, maybe there was some contact between the two Doug Wrights, and you're finally maybe starting to see something happen. Maybe a wire got knocked loose or something. Maybe that thing is tripping into Guardian mode just a little bit. But now it's two MTIs, 1 and 2. But this battle, if you backed out from this camera view right now, you wouldn't believe this battle we are having in 450 factory stock. There is TS Motorsports. No, Gladiator Canados is still in the mix. They are going to be on the inside of Doug Wright, Waves, and Wheels. Look at this. You could throw no more than a rooster tail length distance between our top 4 boats in 450 factory stock.
Imagine being a 16-year-old rookie and being chased by these people. These are some of the best racers in the sport.
I mean, you're racing with Sean, chasing you with Taylor Sissom, the daughter of a legendary boat builder, Randy Sissom. I mean,
we're very good friends and candid about things. And Taylor is a very skilled driver. She's actually one of the, in his words, one of the best he's driven with.
Kind of the idea when they wanted to pick a throttleman for the TS Motorsports team is to pick Johnny Tomlinson. He can hone her skills and train her the best way to handle it. Of course, Johnny Tomlinson's so much experience throttling a boat, but right now it looks really weird. We see Gladiator Canados go real fast. Now, Matt, if you look at the front of Doug Wright, Waves, and Wheels, that looks like that might be just a little bit of damage on that starboard side sponson there.
The inside of the sponson,
yeah. Just to the inside of it, yeah. As you see now from the X Insurance there to keep them in place and try and keep them sealed up. They don't want water to get in there. In the back of the transoms of these boats are so low, Thomas, much similar to you run, that waves will kind of wash over there to deflect water away from the motor so it doesn't make a direct hit on the cowling.
Yeah, there's definitely got to be something wrong with Gladiator Canados. And we see it a lot of times in tunnel race, so it looks like we got a replay here.
Well, this is of the Doug Wright. Look at that. Look at that boat hop sideways and set back down. That gives you an idea of exactly how rough it is out here on Lake Michigan. Good slow motion footage there as Meade Family Racing, they are in the lead in 450 factory stock. TS Motorsports is in second, and Doug Wright, Waves, and Wheels should be running in third. I wouldn't count out TS Motorsports, though. They are looking around. They're looking up that inside. They jumped back to the outside.
Well, we've got enough rough water here that even with that young driver and Caleb Mead, even though he's got Sean on the throttle, he makes one small mistake. You could see all of them number 5, and we could have 3-4 boats fighting in a blanket on top of them here all the way to the end.
Look at this.
Well, right now we've got a Doug Wright and an MTI going for second place. Doug Wright Waves and Wheels was up to the inside of TS Motorsports. It looked like TS Motorsports accelerated a little bit better running out of that corner. I truly love the blue and the black color on that hull, and everything that Taylor has is painted to match this boat almost exactly. It's just such a beautiful color and stands out so well even on a cloudy day like this. Just look at the pop.
And you saw that replay of the Doug Wright Waves and Wheels kind of getting a little sideways. What kind of stress does that put on one motor when it hammers the water like that, when they tilt side to side unexpectedly?
It's a great question. I mean, the biggest thing in this racing on mechanicals is loading. You go back in, you've got all that drag.
Hank Saloon slowing now. Boat number 39 slowing down to the inside of the course. Not sure what's going on with them. Back to our leaders, however, though. Mead Family Racing continues to lead. Boat number 5, TS Motorsports, trying to look back. Separates these two boats. So now the MTIs have kind of separated themselves from 3rd and 4th place.
Yeah, what happened to Doug Wright?
I think Doug Wright now might have to start worrying about GC Racing. Matt, could we make it an MTI podium here for the Midwest Challenge?
Well, I know that would thrill MTI. I'm not so sure about Saloon. They got a late start too. They were way behind the.
Yeah, either that or he didn't want to get another penalty for encroaching on somebody's.
But not that much of a penalty. Gladiator and Wheels, and they are way behind as TS Motorsports. Not much. Well, a little bit more separate.
Now, I have a feeling we get off the water, we're going to find something. They're going to find something in that Gladiator canal. Bumped or something went wrong because they were so strong those first couple. It can't just be because their setup is changing.
Something has definitely made the move. And if I look out on the race course, GC Racing has now made a move for. MTI has gotten around the red Doug Wright hull, and they now take over 3rd place. So it is an MTI 1, 2, and 3 currently in 450 factory stock. We're about halfway through this 9-lap event.
And we saw that damage potentially on the Doug Wright Waves and Wheels. I wonder if that's affecting them now. I mean, because they were deck to deck with the taken, and now they're off the podium.
Well, as we said in Super Stock, though, I think the conditions are still gnarly enough that if the boats are lightening up, their setup is going away from them faster than they to keep up with this lead group. TS Motorsports is currently in 2nd. Mead Family Racing in. Johnny and Taylor trying to look up the inside. They're going to hop back out of the outside. That put them in reference to your lead boat. There's the X Insurance aerial helicopter in tow. And I can tell you, if you've been sort of boating and had a helicopter 100 feet up off the deck of your boat when you're running, 120 miles an hour.
A rush.
It is.
It's a big deal. And to see a helicopter that close to you as you're moving very fast.
Very fast,
something.
Yep.
Now, and I didn't know what the standings look like here in the factory stock class. Obviously, you have to win yesterday. The shaking up. Does the MTI and Taylor Schism have a chance to go back-to-back for her national championship here in 2023?
To be honest with you, I am so far out on points right now. We can get Matt, our statistician, to maybe look that up and tell us where we stand.
Give me a minute.
Give
me a second.
I will do that. I bet you will go to. Comes across the finish line. She continues to run in 2nd place with Johnny Tomlinson. Boat number 5, Caleb Mead and Sean Torrente in the lead in 450 stock. Boat number 5, MTIs 1, 2, and 3.
Hey, you think Caleb goes to his first day of school if they hold on for a victory with a giant trophy that he brings to school for the first day of his junior year of high school?
Maybe, I would. Maybe the checkered flag might be a little bit easier to carry.
There we go.
All right, guys. So according to the P1 website, point standings coming into this weekend for 450R factory stock were TS Motorsports, Gladiator Canados, 151 Express.
That's right, 151 Express was third. We
and
learned that
Waves
the
and
other day.
Wheels, Doug Wright.
Okay, so
that's the top 4.
So it's going to mix it up. It's going to mix it up quite a bit right now with this race finishing as it will, because you've got Mead Family Racing taking the win. Taylor Sism going to probably take second. GC Racing taking third. Your third place boat, 151 Express. They didn't run. They didn't actually finish yesterday. They actually registered that did not start. So I'm not sure what happened there. They are way off the pace today with Hank Saloon. So obviously they've got some sort of lingering issue they can't quite get around. As now it looks like the 2 Doug Wrights are going to do battle. And this would be for 5th place in 450 factory stock.
Well, that's actually the battle for 4th, because we've got the 3 MTI machines, 1, 2, and 3, and then the 2 Doug Wrights sitting in 4th and 5th. Then we got the 151 Express there a little bit further off the pace.
I apologize. I'm a boat racing announcer, not a mathematician. I apologize. Mead Family Racing continues to lead in 450 factory stock. This has been a great battle in this class. And Matt, when Taylor and Randy came up with this class and built it and put it together, this is the type of racing that they wanted to have.
Yeah, they had vision. Randy had a definite vision. And there was some resistance from the super stock class because they thought, well, come on, we already have a 32-foot outboard engine-powered class. But it wasn't simple. It wasn't simple at all. You had to go to this vendor for this part, this vendor for that part.
Yep. Especially when they run the 280s. And when this class came out, they were still running the 280s.
Yeah. So Randy wanted to make it simple. And granted,